Hello, James.
You alright?
I'm not too bad. You okay?
I am very, very well. I've got a little surprise here, so why don't you just follow me quickly, alright?
Last time I done this, something very bad happened.
I know, but this is a pleasant surprise, I promise you.
Okay, let's have a look.
Okay, so here we go, and have a look at that.
What the fuck? There's loads of doors, James.
What?
Why are there loads of doors?
There are loads of doors. Well, why? Because it's a surprise. But you said to me, not last week, that, you know, we don't really have a celebration as much anymore. So behind all these doors, there is a simple surprise just for you. So why don't you take it away, eh?
Okay, so I might as well start at the beginning. Go to door number 1.
Yeah.
Open that. Fireworks.
Yeah.
I'm not a 6-year-old boy. I'm not fascinated by fireworks.
But it was like the pyro at the start of Raw or SmackDown. You know what I mean? I thought you loved fireworks. I'm a little bit disappointed. But okay, it was like I said, still plenty of doors.
Okay, I'll move on to the next one then, begrudgingly. What's this supposed to fucking be?
What do you mean? That's all our listeners listening to us and cheering along with the WNR podcast.
Alright, I'm going to skip the next 3 doors. I'm going to go on to the 5th, 6th door. Am I supposed to be impressed by this?
I thought you liked animals.
I do, but not doing that, James.
Well, I thought 2 cows doing that, you would be impressed. I mean, Dan, what do you want, eh?
I just want to start a fucking episode.
Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and as always, I'm joined by...
A very unimpressed Dan White.
Yes, well, we are 250 episodes old, and what we do for very special milestone episodes, like we did with the WNR 100 or the 200, is the highlight reel. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and listen to the WNR 250's highlight reel.
Before you start it, can we have it to the favourite song of the podcast? See You Again. Please.
That was 200, alright? It's
Oh.
250. It's so different. I'll explain the reasons why this is the 250 theme afterwards. Hello, and welcome to the WNR podcast, or the WWE Network Review, a weekly podcast where we get the very best the WWE Network has to offer by watching something then, now, and forever, and seeing if it's worth the $9.99 a month. My name's James Rowlands, and as always, I'm joined by Dan White.
Hello, let me introduce you to the characters in the show. One says yes, one says no.
Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and as always, I am joined by...
Dan White.
It's going to make Dan laugh because today is episode 69.
Bill for 2.
Yes, I know you still believe. Paint me on canvas so I become what you could never be. I dare you to tell me to walk through fire, wear my soul and call me alive. I dare you to tell
Merry Christmas, everybody, from the WNR podcast.
Ho, ho, ho. We are in the Christmas spirit.
And not only that, we are in the Christmas cottage, the same as we were last year. Dan's got the dinner on, I can hear it in the background. And what an episode we have for you today.
The memories in shadows, some stay.
Excited for it.
Dan,
it intrigues me.
I don't want you to make any jokes about them. Don't be smallest.
No, they're smallest.
So, we're going to talk about this match now, be as serious as we possibly can. Hillbilly Jim, Little Beaver and then Clayton King versus King Kong Bundy, Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo.
Baby on canvas, so I become what you could never be. I dare you to tell me to walk through the fire, burn my soul and call me alive. I dare you to tell me to walk through the fire. I dare you to tell me, I dare you to.
And they're locking the door. What?
Oh, Sid Vicious again involved in one of these moments.
You have 5 seconds to comply. And Arn Anderson makes another appearance.
Oh my god, this is WWE's best. Here comes Robocop. He's just going to get a gun out and shoot them all. The cage, oh my god. He just pulled that door off the hinges, Dan.
He was bending the metal bars with his bare hands, James. The man with Robocop in his corner cannot be defeated.
Oh my god, and I think Robocop's just shooting. Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
So there you go. You just listened to the WNR250 theme. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was good. There were some funny moments. It's a lot different to the other ones we've done. It's kind of just highlighting different moments in the podcast. And yeah, they've brought back some very fond memories.
Without a doubt, because this is the thing, and this is why the theme is I Dare You, because especially after the kind of WWE thing that happened, and of course, you know, kind of going on with the podcast this time, I've had thoughts in the past about, you know, when the podcast would come to it, other things, and then I've realised the podcast is the reason why I'm probably continuously happy for it, because it's something to do, and it's not just through WWE, it's everything else. And it's like, I dare you to say, like, we couldn't do 250 episodes when we first started, and I dare you can't do 250 more if we want to as well, because this is what me and Dan and myself is all about, and that's the WNR podcast, and that's bringing you not only kind of serious moments in the latest news, but all the funny moments as well, because the point of it is the two friends to have a laugh about professional, and that is what the 250 for me is all about, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. It's about, you know, just us sharing our own thoughts and opinions, hence why we bring you our own top 50 lists of men, women, moves, you know, anything. And yeah, it's just our own unique thought on what goes down in wrestling.
Yeah, without doubt. And of course, today we'll bring you the top 50, the full list later in chronological order. And of course, the top 5 moments of the WNR podcast and the bottom 5 wrestlers which you're really looking forward to.
I am, yes. Well, I've got about 50 wrestlers on that list anyway. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some bartering and a bit of a mass debate going on, because I'm going to have to argue that there are a few that are a lot worse than others.
Yeah, without doubt. But before that, we start with a week in wrestling and all the latest news.
News! In WWE, the draft had started and failed to help the ratings or really change anything. Also thrown to the side.
Yeah, like 9 more WWE superstars who were drafted for Raw and SmackDown who weren't originally picked on Friday, making them free agents.
EC3, Eric Young and Sin Cara, now part of the Raw roster, while Apollo Crews, Drew Gulak, Heath Slater, Tamina, the B-Team, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas are now part of the SmackDown roster.
Apollo Crews was never part of Friday's draft pool, was set for tomorrow's draft. After these picks, Akira Tozawa, Cesaro, Chad Gable and Humberto Carrillo remain free agents.
Who's Chad Gable?
Shorty Gable. There's been developments in that as well, which is crazy. But we'll move on to Raw, of course, the second night of the draft. And it opens with a video recap of the Hell in a Cell finish that unfortunately is still as bad as it was live.
Well, we're opening the show properly with Becky Lynch representing Raw versus Charlotte Flair representing SmackDown to determine which brand gets the first draft pick.
Although before the match, Becky had some promo time and basically says Sasha, pulled for the match due to injury, is scared of her and she simply can't get rid of Charlotte.
Well, Flair pretends she wants to be Becky's friend, then punches her. She turned more than Big Show at this point. Their brawl goes. They brawl as we go to commercials, so we presumably get the match when the ads are done.
Well, the story of the match was told on a brand representation basis, which makes little sense as Charlotte has no reason to care, having not yet been drafted.
Well, it was a bit of a slow affair and ended with a roll-up because they realised they wanted neither to lose, and the other option was for a Fiend attack, which they did on SmackDown with Seth and Roman.
Well, anyway, Becky wins and Raw gets the first pick.
Well, the first round of picks is in, finally, and it is as follows.
So Raw gets Seth Rollins.
SmackDown gets Lesnar.
Raw gets Charlotte.
SmackDown gets New Day.
Raw gets Andrade with Zelina Vega.
Well, it's very cool for Andrade, that. Looks like he's about to have a match here too.
Well, Andrade picks up the win over Ali, and it's time for the next picks.
Raw gets the Bukkake Warriors.
SmackDown gets Daniel Bryan.
Raw gets Rusev.
SmackDown gets the SmackDown with champion Bayley.
And Raw gets my man, Ali B.
Well, again, Raw using that fifth pick for one of these picks people would have wanted amongst the obvious ones.
Well, Raw tag title action up next with Viking Raiders challenging Ziggler and your man, Bobby Roode.
Well, after avoiding a loss following a glorious DDT, the Viking Raiders pick up the win with a Viking experience to Dolph Ziggler.
Well, the first main roster title win for the former NXT Tag Team Champs.
And then we get the newest set of picks. And
well, Raw gets Cedric.
SmackDown gets Intercontinental Champion Nakamura with Sami Zayn.
Raw gets Humberto Carrillo.
SmackDown gets Ali.
Raw gets Rowan.
I think they're very cool picks all round there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very good for Raw, I believe. Yeah. SmackDown's got a couple of good picks as well. Ali B's in action next, and he picks up the win over Eric Young. Yep, he still exists, with his new modified Dragon Sleeper called the Dark Ritual.
Well, more picks are in, and Buddy Murphy goes to Raw.
SmackDown gets Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler.
Raw gets Jinder Mahal.
SmackDown gets Carmella.
Raw gets R-Truth.
So, Raw had a very terrible pick there. Well, next up is Ricochet versus Shelton Benjamin, and in a fun little match you'd expect from these guys, Ricochet wins with the recoil.
Well, even though they're losing, it's nice to see some of the faces we see less on tonight's show. Eric Young, Shelton Benjamin and the like. Well, hang on.
In a massage, but says she likes it harder. And then we go to commercials.
And when we get back, Lashley turns up and replaces the masseuse, and Lana seems to be rather enjoying it.
Well, up next, if we can move on from that, we've got Fury and Strowman signing the contract for their Crown Jewel match.
Well, both Fury and Strowman sign the contract, but then things get a little tense and Lawler runs away.
So no puppies, Em?
No.
Well, instead of anyone going through the table, Braun just smashes it in half with his fist.
Well, Tyson Fury tries to break a pen and takes, but do you know he's going to get paid £12 million for his WWE appearance now?
Fucking hell.
He got into WWE because of his son Prince, who's a massive fan, and apparently he's taking his appearance extremely seriously.
I've heard about that as well. He's actually been doing as much as he can in the Performance Centre and trying to improve himself to kind of get from boxing standard to WWE standard, I suppose.
I mean, Triple H has told him to slow down. I mean, he was supposed to be resting the eye, but he's excited about Braun Strowman.
Yeah, well, him against Wilder is the biggest fight in boxing, but he's not Dash Wilder, by the way, James.
No,
Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
I think they might be brothers, but but he's not thinking about that now. He's enjoying his life and he's concentrating on WWE.
Well, we get back to Raw, and still some big names to be drafted this late in the game, and here we go.
Well, Raw gets Samoa Joe.
SmackDown gets The Miz.
Raw gets Akira.
It's King Corbin.
And Raw gets Shelton Benjamin.
And the next match is Murphy versus Alexander.
Well, Murphy picks up the win with Murphy's Law, and again, it was a fun little match.
Yeah, Murphy's awesome. And we get some more Crown Jewel announcements.
Yes, Rollins versus Fiend, Falls Count Anywhere, and the Fiend is on SmackDown now. Oh, no.
But what was funny about that as well is they're advertising it that this match cannot be finished for any reason. I've never seen that stipulation before on any other match. You just don't know there's going to be shenanigans. Well, also, Ricochet's been added to Team Hogan, and Lashley and Nakamura added to Team Flair.
Well, the latest draft picks are in, and Raw gets Mysterio.
SmackDown gets Shorty Gable.
Raw gets O'Neil.
SmackDown gets Elias.
And Raw gets Morgan.
Well, remember when Elias was the biggest draft in SmackDown history?
Who?
Exactly.
Well, Bukkake Warriors are in action next against Natalya and a partner of her choosing.
And guess who she chose? Lacey Evans.
Not the woman who finally had that feud end, is it?
Yes, indeed, yes. I love pointless feuds that lead to more things that make no sense whatsoever.
And Lacey was drafted to SmackDown on Friday.
Oscar and Kari pick up the win in a double match, and straight away we cut to the Firefly Funhouse.
Well, Bray's chatting away to Rambling Rabbit as Seth runs in and invades. He beats up Bray to resounding boos.
And then he burnt down the Firefly Funhouse. Poor Bray, always getting his stuff burnt down.
Oh, is that where the burn it down his theme comes in then?
Seth Rollins, that's what he has to do, yeah.
So he's built up his new place, turned it into Firefly Funhouse after Randy Orton burnt down the Wyatt compound.
Yeah.
And now that's burnt down,
Yeah.
so is it going to be a new resounding Bray Wyatt in a new place?
We just don't. Somehow WWE just keeps digging a deeper hole with this Seth Rollins Bray Wyatt feud, don't they?
Well, as if the main event of Hell in a Cell wasn't bad enough, the October 14th edition of Raw ended with Rollins physically going to the Fiend's Firefly Funhouse and wait for burn it down.
Well, coming out of Hell in a Cell 8 days early, it almost looked as if WWE wouldn't acknowledge him, main event finish at all.
And that might have ended up better than what fans are getting now.
And like you said, it seems that WWE has killed off some of the mystique surrounding the Fiend. Previously, his Firefly Funhouse segments had operated in this headspace where it was easy to think it wasn't a place other wrestlers could actually visit.
However, barring some massive twist that would be borderline unprecedented for modern WWE storytelling, apparently wrestlers can get there, can attack Wyatt and set the place on fire.
And while this isn't the biggest ordeal in the world, it sure doesn't help. There's some suspension of disbelief required for WWE viewing, but now it's hard to shake the idea of Wyatt setting up his little episodic stage in the back each week and playing with puppets, for it was chaotic, if not demonic, things that took over shows and distorted them.
Well, WWE had the benefit of the doubt to get the Fiend character right before Hell in a Cell. It seemed like the company was letting him run wild, doing whatever he wanted and flexing the creative muscle. Coming out of the pay-per-view, not so much.
Yeah, because based on current WWE trajectory, fans know where this will go next. Rollins will come out with another did what I had to do promo. The next match will likely dissipate the anything goes rules again, and the Fiend will find a way to lose, whether it's supposedly via the Universal Champion pushing the line of what's acceptable, or Wyatt attacking a referee to show just how much he doesn't care about titles.
The kicker, WWE's draft, botched in its own right over the course of a few days, sent Wyatt to SmackDown, sticks on Raw.
If one didn't know any better, it would almost seem like this was the company's way of killing off the Firefly Funhouse before Wyatt arrives on Fox. And that also means the next match between these superstars likely has a predictable ending, because WWE wouldn't dare set the precedent of wrestlers hopping between the two shows again after the Mythville wild card rule confused everything.
Well, if fans are lucky, Wyatt, Rollins and WWE can still find a way to salvage this, but fans just haven't had any sort of luck while throwing every bit of support they have behind the Fiend.
And what seemed like the biggest no-brainer of the no-brainers lately has been mishandled so badly, fans haven't sheltered away from trouncing the company's supposed top good guy with booze during backstage videos and chanting AEW as a pay-per-view goes off the air.
With the draft now over, several WWE superstars were left as free agents and were able to sign with either brand after they were not picked up during the live television broadcasts.
Yeah, well, they've announced today that the superstars have found a new home with 6 joining SmackDown.
Those who are now part of the Raw roster are Peyton Royce and Billy Kay of the Iconics, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose and Sarah Logan.
Or joining the SmackDown brand of Cesaro, Luke Harper, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville of Fire and Desire, Dana Brooke and Drake Maverick.
After they weren't included in the WWE draft, there are reportedly no immediate plans in place for the Usos and Naomi to return to WWE programming.
Yeah, Meltzer, one of your favourite people, said there is no creative film or return date, nor decision regarding which brand they will be with.
Well, none of them have appeared on WWE TV since shortly after Jimmy Uso was arrested for DUI in July. It marked Jimmy's second arrest in 5 months, as he was previously arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and obstruction of justice during a traffic stop while his wife Naomi was driving.
They should have a match with the Hardys with like a bottle of beer on the pole match. That'd be great under the intoxicated match. Well, the Usos last versus on July 29th edition of Raw, losing to Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows in the Raw Tag Team title match that also included the Revival.
Naomi's last bout was on the July 22nd edition of Main Event, and her most recent appearance on a major show, was a fatal four-way match involving Natalya, Alexa Bliss and Carmella on the July 15th Raw.
Yeah. The Authors of Pain have been drafted to Raw as well, so obviously they're going to be setting up a match between them and the Viking Raiders Experience, which I think should be quite fun.
Well, the first edition of the WWE Backstage on FS1 featured the announcement of a blockbuster trade. The trade was teased last week during the WWE Draft edition of Friday Night SmackDown, and last night Booker T confirmed the announcement would be made public within the next 24 hours.
Well, that happened Tuesday during a preview episode of WWE Backstage with host Renee Young, where Triple H announced Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross have been traded to SmackDown due to Bruce Pritchard making a big move since becoming executive director.
According to Triple H, Raw received considerations for future draft picks down the line.
Yeah, which makes no sense considering both women got drafted as separate entities and then got drafted across to SmackDown in a team. What rosters do you think about the two rosters that we've seen with the drafts? Who do you think comes out on top?
I think Raw has done quite well for itself, to be honest. SmackDown, I thought they would have had a lot better picks, seeing as though it's now on FS or Fox Sports.
Yeah.
But, you know, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Well, I think this is the thing. I think when you look at it, maybe SmackDown kind of got, a couple of big faces. But I think Raw's got some really great talent. When you look at people like Buddy Murphy or Drew McIntyre, Samoa Joe there as well. There's a couple of there's the guys that can really make it into quite an entertaining place. And I think Raw might come out on top. But that was Tuesday night. On Wednesday night, we had AEW, and it was episode 3.
Jim, welcome.
Well, Tony and Excalibur join him.
We start with a tag team turmoil tournament.
Yeah, let me just run through that for everybody that was has been listening the past couple of weeks and been watching AEW. The tag team tournament is setting up, of course, new tag team champions. Last week, the Private Party upset the Young Bucks, and tonight we've got Lucha Bros versus Jurassic Express. And right now, we've got SCU versus Best Friends.
Well, SCU on the way out, but get attacked from behind by Lucha Bird. SCU on the way out, but they get attacked from behind by the Lucha Bros.
What are they doing out here?
Well, Kaz sent him into a ring post.
And then Daniels is pole-driven onto the ramp.
Scorpio Sky then comes out to help his teammates.
Well, the bros get out of the way, they scarpered, but the trainers, EMTs, referees down. It doesn't look good for Christopher Daniels.
But it was a nice, unpredictable, interesting start to the match.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's good about it. Anything can happen. It kind of brings the old Nitro feels to it. Anyway, Scorpio wants to take Daniels' place.
So here come their actual opponents, the Best Friends, and they consist of Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta.
Trent Beretta for former WWE fame. So I guess Best Friends are heels as they work over and still injure Kazarian.
Well, nice moves came with Trent on Chuck's shoulders, superplexing Kaz off the top.
Yeah, but too much taunting allowed Kaz to get the hot tag.
And he's on fire, baby.
And a quick thing as well, of course, we talked about us from Dusty Rhodes. The gorilla position in WWE is where the superstars come out to the entrance. In AEW, they're calling it the Dusty position now as well.
So one was named after Gorilla Monsoon, and this one's named after who? Dusty Rhodes?
Dusty American Dream. And there's a picture of him. And apparently they touch his face before coming out there. But anyway, on the outside, Chuck accidentally took his own partner out, allowing SU to hit an assisted DDT for 2.
2! And the crowd's really into it. Best Friends have time for a hug before Doomsday Device. But Kaz with the kick out.
Well, the timing was a little off at the end, but Kaz tagged in Scorpio Sky for a powerbomb dropkick finish. So
SCU face Dark Order in the semi-finals.
And of course, later the tag team tourney continues.
And after that, we get more tag team action.
It's Alex Reynolds and John Silver.
Long John Silver. Well, I've not seen them before, but they look a lot like jobbers.
And we're right, as the Inner Circle are out, and it's Santana and Ortiz.
So no longer LAX, but part of a stable already.
Yeah, and this is not a match, it's but destruction.
Well, one offensive move and a kick by our faces.
Fluid motion by the heels, and they did the job needed and made them look like killers.
Street sweeper to finish, and it is all over.
Yes, to set out powerbomb neck break off top to finish that. But Jericho then comes onto the screen.
Le Champion said he knew his team would dominate.
And at Full Gear, they want the Young Bucks.
Well, Jericho puts both teams over, giving them the rub, makes a great pay-per-view match. And then, a little bit of bubbly.
Have a little bit of bubbly. Well, we get a promo. It's Cody and build towards the AEW title match at Full Gear.
His mum, wife, and others talk about what it means to him.
Yeah, and the AEW production values are as good as WWE, so this is really on point, actually.
Next up, it's AEW Women's title on the line.
Yeah, and it's Dr. Britt Baker versus Rio.
Well, this is a match to make at the moment, and I'm a fan of both of these women.
Yeah, back in the day, I would have said they should be in WWE, but the fact remains that they have their own success in AEW on TNT, so there's plenty of exposure there.
Yes, and both are faces, so a lot of respect and good old wrestling.
Yeah, Brett is bigger, but speed is, of course, in Rio's favour.
Yeah, it seemed to me that they were running through the spots, though, at times.
Yeah, a little bit of time would have helped, but it's still a good match, lots of back and forth.
Yeah, Britt came close towards the end, but just couldn't put her away.
Heating things up, though, between both women.
The double foot stomp didn't put Britt down, and the double knees were dodged.
And looking for the lockjaw, but as Britt got the mouth open, Rio managed to roll her up.
It was a good match, and with a bit more time, it could have been a lot better.
And then it's good to see a bit of respect shown afterwards as well.
Yes, there's an update on Christopher Daniels. He suffered a stinger, but he's okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
And the perpetrators of the attack earlier, Lucha Bros, are in action versus Jurassic Express.
Yes, and the tag team tournament winner faces Private Party in the semis.
Well, it was originally going to be Luchasaurus, but he's injured, so Marco Stunt is in taking his place, and Jungle Boy will be the team.
Well, Marco does make me laugh a bit, and I think he's just a little bit taller than Hornswoggle.
Yeah, a bit of comedy to start, biting of the hands, and it is funny to see Marco thrown about by his own tag team partner as well.
Yes, on paper the Bros were favourites, but like we've seen in AEW, each team are made to look competitive.
Yeah, some real innovative tag team moves by the Express as well.
But the heels got serious and took things their way, working on the smaller man.
Yeah, Gorilla Press turned into a one-handed Gorilla Press into a super kick. It was an impressive tag team move.
And then Jungle Boy gets the hot tag.
He's on fire, baby. 450 shooting star, 450 and a shooting star combo. Can't put down Phoenix.
Well, Pentagon in for a foot stomp into a pile driver, and it was a good match.
And there were some mad moves in this one, I tell you.
This one was destined for brilliance. Pac and John Moxley were never going to get along as tag team partners. Is what made the dynamic of their match against Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega work. Such a must-see material. This match was as violent as it gets, which is what makes the character work and the storytelling weaved throughout just so jaw-droppingly impressive.
Yeah, Pac was his usual self. Moxley was unhinged in his desire to crush Omega. Page come off as desperate given his losing record, and Omega probably never looked this vicious on AEW thus far. It was a masterclass. The action was entertaining and devastating as expected for an announcer called a ring full of star power.
But best of all was the inevitable Moxley-Pac collision. Moxley made it clear during a pre-match promo that anyone in his way on the path to Omega would regret it. True enough story, Pac disarmed Omega and Mox of their barbed wire weapons, teased a week ago because he wanted to avoid some disqualification to win the match in a Stone Cold-esque fashion.
Yeah, Mox turned around, flipped double birds and assaulted his own partner before leaving the arena, leaving Pac to get dismantled in a 2-on-1 that resulted in a loss. It doesn't get much better than that as far as Moxley and Omega build.
Well, now Page can claim some revenge and a win over Pac. Moxley and Pac are also destined for a brutal collision. The threads to these feuds are only beginning to unravel.
Yeah, and it was a really well put together tag team match. And then the main event, and Allin and Jericho took the match into an unexpected street fight overtures. Using chairs, candlesticks and more, the champions caught off guard from the beginning. Health is prone to suffer. Eventually, Jericho got the upper hand by tying Allen's hands behind his back and beating the shit out of him.
But Allin used this as a chance to showcase why he's one of the best. He pulled off a variety of offense off the ropes and even from the top ropes, all with his hands tied behind his back.
Well, the expected interference from Jake Hager came before Allin could attempt his incredible-looking coffin drop to go for the win. But as far as main event for the television go, this was as good as it gets.
Not only did it seem credible and upset happen, is a surefire threat at the top of the card, despite his youth. Odds are he'll be back for more title shots soon, and in the interim, we're still headed towards a Jericho-Cody collision, and Allin can go after members of the Inner Circle.
Yeah, so a really good episode of AEW there. I mean, a lot of tag team wrestling, but just the kind of storylines being told, we're building towards the next pay-per-view now as well, which is, I think, it's going to be a good one when we look at the matches that are going to be in store. And then we had Friday night. I didn't actually watch it last night, I'm not going to lie to everybody. I was watching the basement instead. At the moment, the Yankees are playing, and I was trying to watch that. They're down in the series, but the thing is that weirdly enough, SmackDown's not going to be on their normal channel next Friday because of the World Series, and hopefully Yankees can get through to there. But we'll just run through the SmackDown results quickly. I don't think there's really anything of note. So now we'll bring back an old item. Dan, it's time for your
SmackDown summary. Well, we had SmackDown kicking off with an Intercontinental title match between champion Shinsuke fucking Nakamura and challenger Roman Reigns. Yeah, well, Naka sets up for a Kinshasa but catches a Superman punch. Instead for a near fall, Roman sets up one more spear, only for Baron Corbin to attack from behind with his King's Scepter, causing a DQ. The trio beat up on Roman Reigns before the latter gets saved by a Daniel Bryan run-in. The trio benefit from a 2-on-1 advantage. The heels walk away, leaving the babyfaces laying in the ring.
So Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns continue their kind of strange relationship. I mean, I think Reigns Nakamura is a good match, but I mean, is it right Reigns now going to be treated kind of with the Intercontinental title there instead of main event level? Or are they doing it because of like the kind of Cain Velasquez thing and they're keeping Reigns just quiet at the moment?
Well, I think that is, he's being kept quiet, but he's not kept out of the picture, is he? But, one thing that's annoying is the non-finishes in WWE lately. I mean, it is starting to become a trend. They're trying to protect both wrestlers and...
Well, especially when it's on Fox and it's meant to be a more kind of sports-like feel and you're having non-finishes, that kind of takes it away from it, doesn't it,
Absolutely, yes.
And, and AEW in itself, I don't think we've had a non-finish yet, so...
I don't think so either, no. I mean, there's a couple that should have been a non-finish, but the referee just kept it going anyway.
But I like that,
Yeah, well, we see the New Day there caught singing backstage before Heavy Machinery, Tucker and Otis confront them to offer making pancakes for them to lift Kofi's spirits after losing the WWE. Kofi promises he's fine because he has the power of positivity on his side, but Otis nonetheless arrives with pancake batter on deck. New Day says...
what? Yeah, on pancake batter on his what?
On deck.
Oh.
Easy. Well, New Day say it's too soon before their match to eat because they'll all get cramps, but Otis downs all the batter himself. Typical Otis fashion.
You love Otis, don't you?
We get Shorty Gable versus Curtis Axel.
Shorty G is now his new name.
Yes, well, he said in an interview after the match, he says, I accept who I am, I'm Shorty Gable. Actually, let's shorten it, I'm Shorty G. And
he beat Curtis Axel, former Intercontinental Champion, in just, it's just a shame, really.
Absolutely, it was an awful fucking match, though. Well, New Day and Heavy Machinery versus The Revival, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. And it is Steaks and Pancakes, their little team nickname is going to be. It was...
WWE can do that right, can't they? Like multi-man matches. So I think this is the thing that always entertaining in that way. Well, New Day are built in for that spot, aren't they?
Talking of entertaining, Big E and Otis wishboning Ziggler is quite an entertaining visual. Well, Heavy Machinery and the New Day get the victory. Big E makes the tag, puts Dawson onto his shoulders, tags in Woods for the midnight hour.
So at least there's two challenges there for the Revival down the line and the New Day and Heavy Machinery.
Absolutely, yes. Well, in hour 2 of WWE SmackDown, The Miz has Bayley on as a special guest for a special edition of Miz TV.
Bayley used the best expression, one of the best promos Vince McMahon ever has used.
I used to be what they wanted me to be. I've outgrown them. Life sucks, and then you die.
Exactly. I remember Vince saying, life sucks, and then you die.
Absolutely, yes. Well, we didn't really get many answers, but we do get a 6-pack challenge. Lacey Evans versus Dana Brooke versus Carmella versus Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville versus Nikki Cross to become number 1 contender. Who wins? Charlotte. I kid. Nikki Cross gets the victory there.
Does that surprise you, considering, you was Alexa Bliss's tag team partner?
I'm glad Nikki Cross is getting opportunities.
She's a huge talent, and if WWE get behind her, it's definitely going to work. Or is she going to be just the first victim in Bayley's women's title reign?
Well, cannon fodder in it, really. You know what it's going to be. We had a very, 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 very interesting match versus Braun Strowman. Gulak introduces himself on the mic in his SmackDown debut and says he's certain Braun will get knocked out at Crown Jewel, but Strowman doesn't want to see that, so he made 300 slides to show Braun how to beat Tyson Fury. But Braun decides to squash him instead rather than listen to his advice. So yeah, Braun beats Gulak in a squash match.
Hang on a minute. So we had a PowerPoint presentation. Yay!
Yep. And
the former Cruiserweight champion getting destroyed in segment.
Yes.
Great way to make SmackDown.
Absolutely, yes. We've seen worse. Daniel Bryan's about to have his first match on SmackDown. He's teaming up with Roman Reigns to go against Nakamura and Baron Corbin. So Nakamura's not teaming up with Sami Zayn, the logical answer. He's teaming up with Baron Corbin.
And of course, Corbin's got a problem with Reigns because of what The Rock did.
Yes, indeed, yes.
And with SmackDown as well, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, looking at this talent back when the podcast started, this would have been a fucking awesome match. We was hot on all four of these guys. And, yeah, well, the Hills get the advantage early on. Match breakdown, both Nakamura and Bryan down. Dives, kicks. Bryan gets in Naka in a yes lock till Corbin breaks it up. Catches a Superman punch. Spear through barricade. Bryan hits a knee plus for the win.
I mean, what annoys me about it is that it's almost like WWE are kind of just making program that you don't need to watch, you know, because you're going to get, like, anything that happens on SmackDown and Raw, you're going to find out at Crown Jewel anyway, because the matches are going to be made. Like, there's 2 matches that are going to be interesting at Crown Jewel. And so there's no need to watch anything else because nothing of note is going to happen. And AEW, yeah, it might have only started recently, but every match seems to matter. And every match finish or what it determines or, you know, kind of wins or losses, this person's going to kind of challenge again, all this kind of stuff. You know, the kind of feuds that we had, the kind of the storylines in that, building towards the pay-per-view in a different way. I feel like I can't miss anything in AEW at the moment, but I can not be, but you know, I mean, SmackDown or 205. I'm not going to watch it. Have I missed anything really? The answer is no, and that's the problem, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, storytelling, continuity, bringing you in, making this episode. You know, that's all part. Yeah, you may well and good smash the wrestling side of things, but nonsensical matches, it should be a thing of the past. You know, there's a lot that they don't need to do, and they're kind of still backtracking in things that they do, which is absolutely pointless and ridiculous.
Yeah, it is a shame. But anyway, we're on to a bit of news, and last weekend Jeff Hardy's wife Beth went on social media and more or less called out Matt Hardy, commenting on Jeff's most recent DWI arrest. The essence of Beth's tweet was that Elder Hardy's public expression of concern for his brother was done selfishly to paint himself in a positive light. Matt's wife, Rebby, responded to her sister-in-law defending her husband's right to talk about his brother and accusing Beth of enabling Jeff. Later, Matt would again comment retweet in response to someone in Rebby's thread.
Well, the vessel of Matt Hardy said, correct, I've been with Jeff since day one. Literally, I've been involved in a professional capacity with him for 28 years, one in which our actions affect one another. I don't need permission to address my brother, my biz. Wrestling is not important now. My brother's health is.
Well, in fact, a lot of people are interested in their well-being has drawn this out in the public eye in a way it wouldn't be for most families struggling with addiction.
All we can do is hope for the best, and if you believe they have the ability to help, send supportive thoughts and prayers to the entire Hardy family.
Yeah, so it's a tough time at Hardy's at the moment. They need to stick together, not turn on each other. And now a bit of news from around the world and NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, at the conclusion of Monday's King of Pro Wrestling, IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada made a formal challenge to G1 Climax winner Kota Ibushi. Ibushi accepted, saying that Okada being on top all the time isn't fun anymore.
Well, Ibushi plans to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship from Okada on January 4th on the first night of Wrestle Kingdom 14, and then win the IWGP Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the second night of Wrestle Kingdom 14 on January 5th. This year marks the first 2-night Wrestle Kingdom in the history of the January 4th Tokyo show. Kota Ibushi, but again, we're trying to show someone like Will Ospreay's on. I'm quite, we're big fans of the success. Kota Ibushi, a guy that was on the CWC and turned down a chance to, sign for WWE. What is he doing now? He is challenging for, one of the greatest championships in the world in Japan, and over 2 nights can make history. And like I said, being the winner of the G1 Climax is a huge thing as well. And like I said, it was your pick, wasn't he, in the CWC?
Absolutely, yes. I always knew great things would come for Kota Ibushi, and it just goes to show he's going for the Heavyweight Championship on the 4th, and then on the 5th he's going for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. So, absolutely, yeah, the bloke deserves it.
And we're going to try and bring it up. There's someone like Marty Scurll as well that maybe we've not mentioned that we know quite well. Is having great success in Ring of Honor at the moment.
Absolutely, we've known Marty Scurll, the villain, since he was Party Marty.
Yeah, that's so long. And the kind of transition, he's kind of friends with kind of all the elite guys, but decided to stick with Ring of Honor. So we're going to bring you updates with that, the cool stuff that's happening with NWA, and of course Impact Wrestling got Bound for Glory coming up as well. So there's a lot of stuff.
Well, we are no longer kind of bound by one promotion. Since they're being dicks,
Yeah.
we've decided to fuck them and just be who we want to be and talk about anything and everything.
Exactly. We're bound for glory. Anyway, on to arrivals in WWE.
Yes, Twinsley Abansky, better known on the independent scene as Shotzi Blackheart, has signed a WWE deal and will be heading to Orlando and the WWE Performance Center.
Well, during the Evolve 137 event, General Manager of NXT William Regal presented Blackheart with a contract in the middle of the ring following her win.
Well, the California native has been wrestling professionally since 2015 and is the current Shine Nova champion, known also by the nickname of the Ballsy Badass. Blackheart will wrestle her final indie date on November the 3rd, which is a legend's birthday, not just mine, with Shimmer before heading to the WWE Performance Center.
Okay, so on to the biggest news of the week, and Bruce Pritchard has been named the new executive director of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. He replaces Eric Bischoff, who was appointed to the role in late June. At the same time, Paul Heyman was put in charge of WWE Raw.
As Heyman does and Bischoff did, Bruce Pritchard will report directly to WWE CEO and Chairman Vince McMahon. The shake-up comes just 2 weeks after SmackDown's big move to Fox.
According to a press release sent in by WWE, Pritchard will oversee the creative development of Friday Night SmackDown on Fox and ensure integration across all platforms and lines of business, replacing Eric Bischoff.
Well, the announcement touts Pritchard's extensive background in character development and creative storytelling. He returned to WWE's creative team earlier this year after a lengthy hiatus from the company and has been in the wrestling business for nearly 4 decades.
WWE has since confirmed is no longer with the company, which is unfortunate since he and his wife recently moved from Wyoming to Connecticut for the executive director job.
Additional details are available regarding Eric Bischoff's departure from WWE. Dave Meltzer, the Dick, reports that for his crappy website that the news was not a shock to those familiar with Bischoff's role in WWE.
Well, yeah, Pritchard and Ed Koskey will be the main people in charge of the show going forward.
Ironically, Bischoff was actually on the recommendation of Pritchard. The two had been working together on the show.
Well, it's an unfortunate situation due to Bischoff accepting the job and, like I said, moving everything in the world.
Well, wrestling journalist Tom Colehue provided these details after reaching out to a source at Fox.
Yeah, and he said this about Bischoff: significant promises were made that we don't feel were upheld.
The source also went to say that there are concerns about undisclosed personnel changes by the WWE.
Well, in a brief statement posted on Twitter, Eric Bischoff commented on the situation. He wrote,
"Bruce is a great producer, good friend, and I'm certain he's going to thrive in his position. He's going to be working with a great team of the most dedicated and hard-working people I've ever had the pleasure of working with and getting to know."
But could this be to do with comments Bischoff made just a week ago?
The former Nitro executive producer admitted on the latest episodes of his 83 Weeks podcast that he has checked out All Elite Wrestling's new show AEW Dynamite in its first 2 weeks on TNT. The show has dominated NXT on the USA in the ratings, and Bischoff noted that the thing that's given Dynamite the edge so far is how lively the crowds have been.
Well, I think the takeaway for me, the biggest thing that I saw and I liked was the crowd, Bischoff said. I've always believed that the crowd, you know, if there's 2 women or 2 guys in a match where a referee is the third person in the ring, the full person is the audience. They're as much as a show as anyone, in my opinion. I think I saw Wednesday night from AEW was a crowd that was intensely engaged in the product, in the ring, and in the show.
So from that, I can see that Eric Bischoff will be joining the AEW creative team sometime in the very near future.
I mean, it is just set up for him there, isn't it? You know, I mean, obviously he didn't get fired because of these comments. You know, ratings were down and he was kind of the sacrificial lamb. But the Eric Bischoff experiment, he wasn't given creative control like Heyman has been. And it was kind of just put there to take the hit, I think. The Bischoff thing didn't work. What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
I don't think he had enough time.
I think Bischoff, he can work magic, but he's nothing compared to Paul Heyman. So, you know, Bruce Pritchard, maybe he'll get things done a bit better.
Right, down. Ratings-wise, and that's what's being spoken about as well, Dynamite drew 1.4 million, 1.01 million, just over 1 million viewers. The first episode got 1.4, which still beat out NXT, which dropped down to 720,000 viewers. So I don't think there's anything to worry about just yet. But again, a very interesting week in professional wrestling. It's a shame about Eric Bischoff, because I do like Bischoff, don't get me wrong. But things change, and it just shows that Vince McMahon's still in control. SmackDown was no different to it has been, maybe even a little bit worse as well. Anything else about news, Dan?
Well, you know, just the rumours that CM Punk may be joining WWE
again, and James, wipe that smug smile off your face, because it's not quite in that capacity. Apparently, he might be joining with Fox Sports as a kind of backstage announcer and talking about things.
But he
like
seems to have thawed a little bit more recently. He was talking about WWE and kind of being more open as well, hasn't he? So if there is a time for Punk to make that connection, and it might not happen now, but like I said, maybe a few years down. I mean, if people like fucking Hogan and Ric Flair keep coming back, then Punk's got another 30 years to still come back. Do you know what I mean? So
Absolutely, yes. And I urge you to watch CM Punk's new film, The Woman on the Fourth Floor, I think it is.
oh right,
I watched a trailer for it. It is actually quite interesting. It's a horror-style film about a couple that buy a new house, and while they're renovating it, strange things start happening, and they get warned to leave the house and never go back. And it is quite interesting, and seeing CM Punk on screen, it's always going to be good as well.
yeah, it's great. Yeah. So that is it for news, and up next we continue the WNR250 celebration.
Well, last time out we had picked the top 50, but in no particular order. Before that, something we have never done before. Listening back and picking out our top 5 moments. We get some honourable mentions.
Well, just the one. I think the main honourable mention should be said was AJ Styles' debut, which was the Rumble 2006. The audio quality on it is not great. Jarrett's involved in it as well, which is a bit of a shame. So that kind of took away from it. Right, so the first time ever. This is what we're doing for first time ever on the 250th episode. We're going to go back our top 5 moments. So Dan, why don't you start us off with number 5, or maybe no particular order for all of them, but just a moment that you are reminded of.
Well, Goldberg returning to wrestling at Survivor Series 2016 was a great night for me. As you know, I'm a huge Goldberg fan, and just seeing him back in the ring again made certain parts of my body hard.
Yeah, and let's have a listen.
And of course, he looks in brilliant shape as he's walking from the back, but
Maybe Lesnar likes that.
Lesnar seems like he's got a challenge, and a spear from Goldberg.
Fucking hell.
That was quick off the blocks.
Well, Lesnar's down.
Second.
And
Fucking hell.
Well, Lesnar.
2 spears.
Well, Lesnar's down. He might be injured. His ribs might have just been broken.
Lesnar hasn't even got out of the blocks here.
We're not even a minute into this match yet, and Heyman pleading with Goldberg.
Don't get distracted, Bill. Don't get distracted.
What the fuck is going on? Lesnar's in trouble.
And the crowd are chanting Goldberg. Brock Lesnar's stunned, so are we.
Come on, Brock.
Is he going to load him up?
No, he's not.
He's got him loaded.
But if he gets him up...
Jackhammer!
Yeah, the jackhammer.
Jackhammer! Boom! No. 2, 3!
You can see how excited you were in that clip, and of course Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar in record time as well, and it would lead to Goldberg continuing. Do you think that was a success for Bill Goldberg returning, and what happened since then?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, he had a great run. It kind of didn't end so well with his running with Undertaker, but you know we gloss over that because for the best part it was good.
Yeah, he kind of made it up a little bit with Ziggler at SummerSlam. But our next moment, one of my favourite moments of all time, and it's a WNR 88. It's TakeOver San Antonio 2017, and I'm going to call it a glorious night. And let's just have a listen to what happened.
Ooh, Nakamura's tuning up the band.
He hears and Rude's in the middle of the ring.
But he's not getting up. Is he playing possum?
He might be. That's an excellent point. That's what Rude's doing at the moment.
Or is he just knocked the fuck out?
No, he's playing possum, man. That's what he's doing. Rude knows this. He knows Nakamura likes to hit the Kinshasa in the corner. Rude's, playing dead weight. Oh, there we go. Rude rolls him up.
2. Oh, but Nakamura kicking out.
Oh, Nakamura missed the kick, though. Oh.
Double knees to the back.
Huge backstabber and now the pin.
2. Oh, but Nakamura managing to kick out.
Rude getting close.
Again, changing the momentum just like that.
But Nakamura showing how tough he is by always getting the shoulder up as well. I mean, the NXT title means everything to Nakamura. I think it means everything to Bobby Roode. That's what makes this match so special.
It means everything to me as well, James. Just don't think you understand.
Oh, God. Now Roode Calling for Glorious, going for the DDT. Oh no.
Nakamura turning him inside out though and getting the knees to the midsection and the back of the head.
Oh.
Oh.
Big spine buster though. Rude's going to get it.
Oh. But only a 2 count. Come on, my son.
Now how is Bobby Roode going to take out Nakamura?
He's not.
Nakamura still fighting in this.
Nakamura.
Bobby Roode.
Nakamura.
Come on, Bobby Roode.
Come on, Nakamura.
Oh, Roode puts him on the top rope again. So you look for a superplex or a move like that.
Oh. Oh, big chop to the chest.
That's going to leave a mark. And now they're in a bad situation.
He's going to try and finish him with a superplex.
No, Nakamura's fighting it though.
Come on, Shinsuke.
Oh no, Roode can't get him up.
Come on, Nakamura. Fight out.
Oh, but Bobby Roode though still fighting up.
Trying to use all his strength, but gets face planted by Nakamura from the second rope.
And now Nakamura, second rope himself.
Come on, Shinsuke. Oh, big kick to the chest.
Oh, there we go. Set up to the Kinshasa.
Come on.
Roode's in trouble. This is it, over and done with. Kinshasa.
Oh, Roode gets both his feet up,
He's
rolls
got
up
the
Nakamura.
ropes. Oh no!
Referee catches him.
Oh, come on, ref.
Oh,
He's going to hit with Kinshasa.
naughty
yeah.
boy. He's going to get a foot to the face when he turns round.
Oh, Roode needs to concentrate on Nakamura.
Oh, no.
Bobby Roode's so close. Oh, kick to Nakamura's midsection and now. Big right hands in the corner, but Nakamura. And he's
Thought it was over.
defending himself. I know. It's gone a little bit slow now. I'm panicking. Nakamura taking the chops. But is that working up Nakamura?
That's just going to piss him off. I think he's playing possum.
Oh, I think he is as well. Look. Roode thinks he's down, but don't play Nakamura's mind games.
And he just stands up with a big grin on his face. Invites Roode to come on.
Well,
Nakamura going crazy. Big knees and big kicks, dropping Roode.
look at that. He is.
He's completely showing Roode up.
And he's kicking the crap out of him with the knees and everything.
Kicks to the back of the head. Bouncing his head off the mat.
Oh, come on, Nakamura. The referee's trying to get in between.
Yeah, he gets his head kicked as well.
Oh, there you go.
Roode trying to fight out, but Nakamura rolling him up in a really impressive way, trying to get Roode locking his hands, veteran-like, trying to stop Nakamura getting the move on.
He is holding it. If Nakamura can break it. Can Roode turn it into a pin maybe? No.
Oh, triangle chokehold though by Nakamura. This could certainly finish it.
And Nakamura's got Roode. He better not tap out and pin at the same fucking time. That would really piss me off. And Roode calls it as he sees it. Roode's going for the pin. Has he got him?
Oh, trying to power up Nakamura.
Oh, but Nakamura though, falling.
Oh
my God.
Fucking
Roode
hell,
nearly,
sunset flip.
Roode nearly broke his leg.
Boom.
Oh, Kinshasa.
King Shasha to the head of Roode.
That's it.
That man is fast asleep. 1, 2.
Oh! Hey!
Bobby Roode managing to kick out.
Well, look at his neck then.
Fucking hell yeah.
But somehow managing, and now Nakamura is going to just finish Roode off. With,
Bless him, he did try though.
He did. Second rope Kinshasa. Roode is, well, don't look behind you. Nakamura's there.
Oh. Roode, is he playing his little possum trick again?
No, I think Bobby Roode's seriously injured. He's gone to the outside.
That won't stop Nakamura though.
He's trying to get his bearings back, and Nakamura just scouting Roode.
Heads up, Roode. Pow.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Oh no, both men fall to the outside now.
Nakamura looks like he's seriously injured his leg. I think he might have actually injured it on Roode's jaw.
Yeah, I think Roode's head has taken a beating unlike anything tonight. And Roode is in serious trouble now. Nakamura's on the outside. Got to watch referees count.
By the sound of it, I think it's 10.
And Nakamura trying to get up with a leg. And Nakamura's such a fighting champion. Wants to get Bobby Roode back in there.
He doesn't want to win it on the outside. It's not the way Nakamura does things.
He just wants a clean finish. And Nakamura now
trying to shake some life back into his leg.
Well, one Kinshasa and it will end things now for Bobby Roode.
But has Roode had enough time to recuperate?
No, this is it now. Over and done with. Nakamura Kinshasa.
Boom! Catches it right on the money, but Nakamura unable to capitalise. He's at himself.
Oh, Bobby Roode goes flying near the rope as well. That might save him. And the punishment Bobby Roode has taken in this match. You got to have any respect for him, haven't you?
Yeah. Roode is seeing stars.
If Nakamura can get up and just any hand on Roode,
He just
he's
needs
going to win
to
this.
put fingers on him.
Yeah, but the leg, like we say, the neck and the leg tonight for Nakamura has caused him some trouble. And we're getting to the ninth inning now, the 90th minute. This is do or die
This
time.
is the bottom of the ninth.
Exactly, for either man. Whatever happens, and Nakamura trying to get up. And the doctors, don't you fucking dare.
Medic.
But then again, if Nakamura can't continue, does Roode win?
No.
Maybe. I mean, the doctor out here, referee check of Roode and Nakamura. Now, I don't know if it was a serious injury. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't see the referee calling it in ring, so maybe this is planned. I said there'll be shenanigans, Dan. I did say there'll be shenanigans at the end
by
of this.
Nakamura, though?
No, well, Nakamura, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The doctor, if Roode was to win it now, with Nakamura injured, but now Nakamura's going to hit Kinshasa and that'll be it. But he wants to fight. He wants to show his toughness. He wants to finish it here. But the problem is, Bobby Roode, how much time has he had to recover, Dan?
Well, exactly that. Well, we're trying to figure out what they're going to call this as here.
If it's a legitimate injury, they won't let Nakamura fight. But again, if it's storyline,
they'll let him get back in the ring to continue.
yeah.
Then it leaves it open for Bobby Roode to beat him because Nakamura's injured.
Yeah, unless Nakamura gets a surprise victory anyway, and it's like, well, he's fucked up and he still beat Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Nakamura crawling to get back into the ring, and look at Bobby Roode now.
Oh,
Got
capitalising.
Nakamura.
Picks him up.
Glorious DDT.
1, 2. Oh! Nakamura managing to kick out.
And Bobby Roode looks at Nakamura like he's just walked through fire because he's just kicked out after being injured, and Bobby Roode can't believe it, and now this opens it up to anything.
It does indeed. I mean, Bobby Roode's hit Nakamura with all he's got, managing to kick out still.
Well, you asked me when I was going to lose my hair. I think tonight I've started pulling it out already. What's Bobby Roode? Don't get caught in he's going for the
half Boston.
And he's got Nakamura in the middle of the ring. We know how much pain Nakamura is in. Punching at the knee.
No, he's not going to give him a
Referee.
pass out.
Referee might call it here.
No.
Nakamura desperately trying to get to the rope. He's going to get there, isn't he? Look at Bobby Roode punching away. Referee just call it. Think of the children.
To the ropes, Nash.
Naka got to the ropes.
To the ropes. Get there.
He's got there, isn't he? And Roode.
Dragging him back to the middle of the ropes. Is that Albert on the outside?
It is Matt Bloom, one of the trainers at NXT's come out.
Rolls through and Nakamura kicking the head of Roode.
Oh, he's got him in a triangle. And this is one act of desperation. Now Nakamura trying to put Roode out, but look at that. In the knee.
Big punch to the knee and yeah.
Well, the knee's in serious trouble. Another DDT now.
Oh!
Hits it. Roode going for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Bobby Roode has become the NXT champion. Tonight, destiny is made. And Bobby Roode has done it. Yes! Fucking glorious. And for the first time ever, James gets a perfect score. And Bobby Roode is NXT champion, Dan. It doesn't get any bigger or better than this. Can you believe it? You're speechless.
No, I don't believe it.
I don't think I've ever had so much emotion in my voice than I did at that point in time, It was a fantastic night. And not just because, as we heard, I got a perfect score and beat you, but Roode winning that was kind of like the best moment in NXT for me. It was a great time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was probably your most emotional night, and that was just after my most emotional night when Randy Orton wins the 2017 Royal Rumble at WNR 87, which was a very orgasmic moment for me.
Yeah, let's have a listen to that.
Jericho's longest in the Rumble. He's going to have to be.
He is, yeah. Jericho's got Taker, though. He's eliminated a few men, though. He's eliminated Zayn, he eliminated. Undertaker's on 4 now.
Oh, is he going to eliminate Jericho as well?
Oh my God.
Choke slam to Y2J.
And Jericho's made a full hour now, I think that's what they've just said. And the Undertaker's signaling for rest in peace. Tombstone.
Roman Reigns eliminates Undertaker.
Oh my God. Undertaker sits up and just stares at Reigns.
Is this the final 4?
It's just Reigns' biggest mistake that he's made. Undertaker's gone. What shock.
Oh, you saw what he done to that rookie that eliminated him from the Royal Rumble in 2002.
Yeah. What he did to Maven's going to happen to Reigns, yeah.
Is this the final 4?
Let me have a look around. I can't see anybody else in the ring at the moment. Yes, I guess.
I've got one in the final 4.
Who was that?
Y2J.
I have got no one in the final 4.
Still draw the Rumble as well. And Roman Reigns finally getting his hands on Jericho.
No, he's saying this is for everything. He's going to finally eliminate him over the top.
Oh, Jericho holding on though.
Oh no, now it's going to come to an
Superman
end.
punch. Oh no, but Roman Reigns runs into a big right hand from Jericho.
Jericho to the top.
Superman punch.
Oh.
And Jericho is out of here.
Jericho's gone. It's Reigns, Orton, and Bray. This is the final 3 that was at Survivor Series as well. Your pick, Randy Orton, still in it.
He is indeed.
Now Reigns facing it, and look at the Reigns' history with the Rumble as well.
Ha ha ha.
Losing the title last year at the Rumble.
2 former winners.
And Bray Wyatt. My God, Reigns against all odds. If you'd asked me, this final 3 I would never have said.
Oh, and the Wyatts taking out the one member of the Shield.
But I said Orton was going to sacrifice himself for Bray. Bray's going to win the Rumble, sacrificing himself for Orton. It can't be a Cena Orton match at WrestleMania. Fuck that noise. Are they playing with Roman Reigns? They see Bray.
Suspension DDT.
Bray calling Orton, telling Orton what to do.
Pow, right in Roman's kisser.
Huge DDT, and now Bray Wyatt got to look for Sister Abigail.
He's going to try and turn Roman down first.
And Reigns now.
Okay, out of nowhere to Bray.
Serious
After
trouble.
he hits Sister Abigail. Oh.
Sister Abigail to Orton. Oh no, Reigns fighting out.
Superman punch to Bray.
Superman
punch to Orton.
Superman punch to Orton. Bray's going over the top.
Oh, Bray has been eliminated by Roman.
And
Come on,
now
Orton.
it's your pick,
Come on,
Randy Orton.
Hear voices, my son.
You
Hear voices.
said Randy Orton, Dan. Spin.
Boom! RKO. Throw him out.
Oh,
yes! Yes! I hear voices.
Unbelievable.
And like I say, Dan, you absolutely mental with Randy Orton winning. I can't believe it's such a long time ago, but it doesn't feel that long ago, does it? You know, when you think.
Absolutely not. No, it's it's just a short 2.5 years ago now.
But I think that's probably. I mean, you talk about great weekends, and every weekend is a great weekend on the WNR podcast. But especially with those 2 events back to back, it was kind of really, really special then. The next moment, well, it begins, and it's Bate versus Dunn. It's the WNR 104, and it's over Chicago, May 2017, in a match of the night candidate.
Pete Dunne up.
Oh, he's got him.
Boom! Slams him to the mat.
Well, that is credit there to Tyler Bate, especially with the arm being worked on the majority of the match. Fans finally getting behind it. Come on, Chicago. It's what it's all about now. So Tyler Driver Knight is a better end. What's the better finishing move?
I do like the Tyler Driver, but I'm going to go with the bitter end.
I know if Dunn can hit that, it will be over tonight. But Tyler Bate's not going to let him because he's going to go for the airplane spin.
Well, we see it come unstuck against Andrews. Can he manage to hit it off against Dunn?
Well, Dunn's a bigger man as well, so it's more muscle to hold, isn't it? More fat.
Trying to fight out, but I think he's just going with it now.
Oh my God, it's making me feel dizzy. He must have gone round. Well, he's gone round over 20 times
Fucking hell. He's going fast as well.
Round, the fans are up on their feet as well.
Oh. Just chucks Pete Dunne off. Stumbles his way to a cover. Ah. But Dunn managing to kick out.
That was funny. Because the fans couldn't believe how long he went for.
I couldn't believe how fast he was going.
Yeah, I know. He was fucking
Thought he was going to take off.
Couldn't keep Dunn down though. He might be dizzy, but he did manage to kick out.
You got Tyler Bate doing that in one corner. You got the Cesaro swing going on in the middle of the ring.
And now Bate getting to his feet. And he's going to, of course, look for the Tyler Driver.
Try and get this done early.
Mark's off in face. No, sorry, he's going to go for the German suplex now. And you talked about power earlier.
But Pete Dunne manages to flip out.
Fantastic agility there.
Tyler Bate there with a springboard off the second rope, trying to take Dunn out, but gets caught with a big forearm.
And he's going now for the suplex up. Oh, fucking hell. That's it. Go for the pin. 1, 2.
Oh.
And I honestly can't believe that. And look, go on, Dan.
The fans are certainly showing their respect to this match. I mean, you know, it might be a bit new to fans. They've not seen much of the UK tournament, but they're going to certainly love it after this.
This is what the British guys are all about. And this is something we'll talk about as well. You know, ironically, in progress, Pete Dunne, Trent Seven and Tyler Bate are a part of a group that are friends. So to imagine in this stage, the biggest stage of your career, having a match with someone that you can trust and you know will give you the best opportunity out there as well. And this is what we're seeing now. In front of this crowd, both men can't get to their feet and exchanging.
Well, they're working their way to their feet, exchanging lefts and rights, and both men are just having a big slugfest.
This is fucking
It's
brilliant.
like a fucking boxing match.
I think Bate getting the better of the bruiserweight, which is quite a surprise.
Oh, lifts up his right hand and delivers a lovely southpaw shot, knocking Pete Dunne off his feet. But again, you know, we see him having a technical match against Mandrews, and now he's having just a slugfest against Dunne.
Well, lucky Jay's on commentary because it is, like you say, a slobber knocker has done now. Oh,
Lovely step up in Seguri there, takes Bate off his feet, working the way back up to the feet.
who can get the offensive move first? Oh, hey!
Both men hitting lefts and rights at exactly the same time.
Oh, he hit the big heel kick, but sent Dunne into the ropes for the clothesline. Oh!
The way Bate comes off of that ring rope and then just hits a lovely lariat. I mean, that is just beautiful.
Wow, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Oh, fantastic. I love it. Both men crawled over the other. Oh, look at that.
I want Tyler Bate to win this one now.
If Tyler Bate was to retain, I won't have a problem. As long as it's a great match. It's like the DIY Authors of Pain. Like, whoever wins that, I don't care. It's going to be a great match, isn't it? But this match, we said it started off slow. People listening say, no, it won't get any better. And look at it now. And like you say, it's a completely different match to the one that each man had on the UK special as well, isn't it? You know?
And again, you know, it's another match in the UK tournament. From this point, you can't quite tell who's got the advantage, which way it's going to go. You know, it's just keeping it all up in the air.
Yeah, it's been a worthy addition to the TakeOver card. Anybody who were questioning it, now you can see how good it is as Tyler Bate now. Tyler Driver 97, no.
Oh, done with the backslide.
This is a bit of end. Oh, fucking hell.
But Tyler Bate turns it into a lovely spike DDT there. Both men have got each other really well scouted.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You can see, that, like you say, the chemistry as well in this match is done rolls to the outside because I think he would have been pinned in that situation. And what is Bate going to do now? Here he goes to the outside.
Jumps over the top rope, springboard. Oh, lovely moonsault there and just hits all of Pete Dunne.
And this could be it now as he throws him in. And he goes to the top unless Pete Dunne manages. But don't want to ruin it. Here we go. Bate off the top. Oh, for fuck's sake. Corkscrew splash. Onto Dunne.
Oh.
It's been a long time since I saw someone do that. Hey. 20 years old. 20 years old. Tyler
Exactly
Bate.
that. Looks like he's got quite a fucking bad trapezius tear, though.
And he just killed Pete Dunne.
He did, and again, I like the intelligence of him rolling outside the ring, and the fans certainly appreciating this with a big yes, chant.
yes, indeed. And a perfect point as well, because this is the thing. In a normal match, you know, someone just kicking out all the time, close near falls or something like this. It makes more sense that they actually go to the outside rather than that, if you think about it, as now he's not finished yet, is he?
Is he going to go for a suicide dive?
It looks like that. He's going to go ding.
Oh,
fuck.
But Dunne manages to move out the way.
Well,
throws Bate back into the ring.
Young champion, maybe one mistake too many. Go on, Dan, call it.
Could this be the bitter end?
Yeah.
Hits it.
Here we go. Go for the cover.
1, 2, 3. And after a fucking amazing match between these two, I mean, I don't know how the show's going to top it. We have a new United Kingdom champion.
Well, unbelievable. You know, we don't want to sound smug, but we have said very long time that the UK title match,
smug face.
Dan's smug face, a very long time that the UK match would indeed steal the show and be a great match. And it's delivered, Dan, hasn't it, you know?
It has delivered, yes.
I mean, it's been unbelievable.
And I mean, at that point in time, I mean, we were just enjoying how great the match was. But, I mean, we had no idea what it would go on to. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy at that time to think in May 2017, Dunn would then go on to have this kind of enormous reign. And Tyler Bate would be a huge fan favourite in ourselves as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And I wouldn't say it was a short while later, but a couple of years later is our next moment, and it ends, and that is Walter versus Dunn, WNR250, NXT, New York, April 2019.
Dunn got the arm again, and just strikes to the face of Dunn. And he's still got hold of the hand,
Relentless.
showing how tenacious he is. Bitter end, no. Walter blocks.
And takes Dunn's head off with a huge clothesline.
Oh, runs into a forearm by Dunn.
Clothesline down.
Now he's going to go for it.
Bitter end!
Hit it. Goes for it, cover.
1, 2. Oh.
Walter managing to kick out.
I can't stand no more.
Oh, Dunn cannot believe it. And neither can we. This is not over yet. Walter's got a faraway look in his eyes.
Pete Dunne's just got his stoic look in his eyes. Both men staring each other in the eye, trying to make their way to a vertical base.
Oh, we're deep now in the 12th round. I think the next big shot is going to end things here.
It's the bottom of the 9th. All bases are loaded.
And just like we started face to face. Oh.
Striking and slaps. How much more can Pete Dunne's chest take?
Oh, and that fire's done up.
That woke him up.
And it just each man just giving their best shot.
And Pete Dunne just taking the chops, fighting back with everything he's got.
And Dunne now everything. Like I said, empty in the tank. Oh
Having
my
to get pulled
god.
off by the referee.
Oh.
Walks into a big boot from Walter.
And Walt with a boot and now looking to go up.
Pete Dunne meeting Walter up on the top turnbuckle.
And he's got the hand. And Dunne is up there, and this is bad for Walter.
It could be worse for Dunne though. If he gets powered out of a huge super power bomb.
Now he's going to try and get the arm. Oh my god, he's got the arm, and Walter's trying to fight it.
Slapping away at the chest of Dunne. Oh, power bomb off the top. No.
And now Walter's got Dunne. Oh!
Huge power bomb off the top.
Oh my Christ. And Walter's going all the way up.
Frog
Splash. Goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. And we've got a new NXT UK champion. And I'm not going to glow. I'm not going to. If anything, Pete Dunne's title reign's over. But I can't. I'm physically kind of. I don't know. It was everything I wanted and more.
But you didn't want it.
But I didn't want it to end. What are your thoughts on the match, Dan?
I thought it was a very bloody good match. Pete Dunne, again, you know, he gave everything he had. And maybe on a different day, he might have been successful.
I mean, what a great match that was, as we've just heard. And you can even hear the shock in our voices about, you know, the reign actually being over. And I think Walter since then has kind of continued the UK title reign and has been a champion. But Pete Dunne, I think has been a step apart. And that's just 5 moments from the podcast, like we say, that we've picked out. And there's plenty more, like in the highlight video as well. We've got the most ridiculous moments in there, all our Christmas specials that we do. And our next episode, of course, is going to be Halloween special. And that's what we're always going to try and bring there. Like I said, some great memories. But after 250 episodes, we have seen some of the worst wrestlers and most annoying super... I mean, Dan, I know you've got a list as long as your arm, but let's just try and kind of break it down to maybe the bottom 5 worst wrestlers that we've seen.
Well, we've had, somewhat of a debate about this, and, my list, again, it was so long, but because we was only doing 5, I could have done 55. Yeah. But, I've had to really think about this, and... yeah, shall we?
Well, this is the thing, because we've got honourable mentions, of course. But I think we'll start off with kind of each one and then talk about the kind of cons and cons. But I think one of them on the list has got a pro, and that one is Adam Cole. So we'll start off with Adam Cole, because when he first debuted, you hated his fucking guts.
Absolutely, yeah. He just irritated the fuck out of me. He seemed... I don't know, too cocky, and that's not in a good character way as well. He was just a dick, and every involved in always ended with shenanigans.
Yeah, and it was kind of like it was just a build up. People called him the next Shawn Michaels as well, which kind of got in your goat, like I said, be the first Adam Cole. And I think since then, with performances in ring and what he's been doing, I think Cole's someone that you got to begrudgingly kind of. Not like as such, but there's not hatred as much anymore, is there?
I don't hate him as much as I have started. He's still an irritating prick, but he kind of warm my cold, dark heart.
Yeah. Right, so I think from that, Cole should be 5th, as in like the kind of least...
Top of the bottom,
the least hated one on the list. And then we're going to go on to... I'll go on to my one, because I've only had really... I mean, there's a few people I've had problems with throughout time, but there's one that I've kind of hated since the start, and that being Mojo Rawley. But I think the thing that's helped me out a lot is the fact he's only had one significant moment in our 5 years of doing a podcast, which would be winning the Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal, thanks in part to the Gronk. Since then, I don't watch Main Event, so I don't care what he does. So he's kind of... He's nothing, and I think for me, I could have him maybe 4th because it's not. I don't get annoyed because I don't see him,
Yeah.
He's not going to be on AEW, and he's not going to be doing stuff like this, and
he's going to spend the next 4.5 years because he has signed a 5-year contract. He's going to spend the next 4.5 years dwindling around. We might see him on Raw or SmackDown when 2 wrestlers get into a heated argument and he comes in to break them up.
Yeah.
Or, wrestling on Main Event and he probably won't even be in the Main Event on Main Event.
Yeah. Next up, I think we should talk about another insignificant wrestler, and that being Mike Kanellis.
Mike Kanellis, again, it's not only his on-screen persona and his lack of talent, but, there's a lot of people like him and like what he does, but I have... no enjoyment in anything that he can do in the ring. Out of the ring, posting his stupid twatty post as well. I sent you a screenshot of a letter where he's asked for his release. Let him fucking go.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, he doesn't wrestle that much on television, so it is a good point. We haven't seen him on a pay-per-view. I don't think
WWE's not treating him like a star. He doesn't want to be in WWE. So at this moment with insignificance as well, I feel, he's hated by most, but that's why he should be 3rd on the list, because I think you dislike Kanellis more than I dislike Mojo, if that's possible. So I think it breaks it down to the next 2 people, and that is a toss-up. But I think maybe these should be 2nd on the list, just because they actually did lose their jobs in WWE. Enzo and Big Cass, going to put them together... but you can argue, but I think it's better to have a kind of shitball together than it would be to have separate.
Absolutely, yeah. They are a pair of irritating cunts, and from the fucking moment I first heard their stupid fucking bunch of catchphrases to, all the fuck-ups they've done in the ring, I mean, I jumped on this bandwagon from day one. You know, it wasn't just a thing, oh, you know, they're in. I hated them from the moment I fucking saw them in NXT.
Yeah, you did.
You know,
did. I can't argue. I can't argue. Your hatred for them came, and everybody was going, oh, come on, they're quite entertaining. And you know, the guy's a cunt. And you stuck with that throughout the time where, and I mean, you had to endure his Cruiserweight title reign when he was the kind of face of 205 Live as well. Beating Neville, for God's sake, you know, like those kind of times. So it was hard. And there's a big cast being put in a pay-per-view match with Daniel Bryan, you know. But the good news is that they got found out.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Enzo, he was the worst worker from day one. I noticed that Enzo would be the person that got beaten up in the fucking ring, get a hot tag to Big Cass, who then got beaten. You know, they didn't win any main titles on the main roster apart from Enzo's disastrous fucking 205 Live run. You know, and again, and then everyone jumping on the bandwagon when it gets found out that he sexually assaulted someone and he has no fucking talent in the ring, which was also called out by a former vaudevillian.
Yes. Yeah.
Simon Gotch. I mean, there's a brilliant fucking rant that he does on Enzo Amore. I absolutely fucking love it. I've seen it loads and loads of times. But if you haven't seen it, I'd suggest you check it out because it just highlights everything I've said about Enzo from day one.
I mean, and what's important as well is like recent rumours about, or maybe they're going to re-sign, and then WWE actually came out and made a statement saying, no, we're not. And you've got to, you know, that shows kind of what people you're dealing with when WWE are flatly refusing it because they don't want to be linked with any of those rumours as well. So that means number one on the most hated, because I wouldn't say worst, because some of these matches I do enjoy, but very rarely do we agree on a podcast over 250 episodes when it comes to something we like. When it's something we hate, sometimes we never agree. This is one thing we've agreed on.
Absolutely, yes. And again, from day one, since I saw his flip-flop wearing fucking entrance and flicking off his fucking flip-flops, annoying fucking bro. And, you know, I've not got a problem with someone being a stoner, but, you know, when it's a kids watching thingy and their, you know, children are very easily influenced, and someone who openly admits he's a stoner, I'm an ex-stoner. You know, I have no problem with people smoking weed, whatever people do, but, you know, it's kind of something that you don't want to highlight when you're a professional athlete because people are so impressionable. It's everything, it's bro this, bro mission, bro punch, bro kick, bro, fuck off.
Yeah.
You irritating, mushroom-sided, fucking twatting tattoo cunt.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And even that kind of the arseholist behaviour of thinking that he's still in developmental, having a go at people like Goldberg and Lesnar, even if it's trying to set up a match, bro. And it's just not. You're not as good as you think you are. You have to start from the bottom, work your way up. Yeah, there's no doubt in that you've got talent, but loads of wrestlers have got talent that are not in your position. And you've been given a lot of stuff in NXT. And you've came from UFC. That's your bread and butter, and that's why you're getting some of this fucking airtime as well. You have to respect the professional wrestling business, and to keep going with that same thing. This is what annoyed me about Mojo Rawley, the kind of stay hyped character, and this is the kind of broker. You're a one-note type of dude. There is nothing else about you, you know, and that's the reason why I fucking hate you, because every time I see you, I know what I'm going to get, and you need to kind of change it up. I mean, I would put Shayna Baszler could have been added to kind of the most hated list as it was, but I think when you look at what the kind of what she's done and how much of a fan I was at the start, Riddle was a guy that from the beginning we both looked at and said, you've got to prove something to us, and he just hasn't yet, because he's an arsehole, and I can't get behind that. Maybe as a heel it would work, but when he comes down the face, I hate the barefoot as well. You know, there's lots of things that put together makes him the most hated and the worst wrestler that we've seen on the podcast history. And like I said, there's loads of honourable mentions, there's loads of shit that we have seen, but these are the 5 guys that are kind of stuck out in the history, if you know
Irritated the fuck out of us, yeah.
And I think that's fine. So we've got our bottom 5 listed, and I mean that's cool, sorted out. So number 5 was of course Adam Cole, because he's kind of thawed from us now, isn't he? You know?
He has, yeah. You know, I still think he's an irritating cunt, but he's an irritating cunt with some talent.
Exactly. Number 4 was Mojo Rawley, because he is nothing now as well.
He doesn't. He's not even on the radar in wrestling. We haven't had to endure him on any pay-per-views. He might be in like the Saudi Arabia fucking battle royal once in a blue moon,
But
but
I'm not watching it, so I don't care. you know.
exactly, yeah.
Is that the same as Mike Kanellis as well? Just completely useless.
Again, he's someone that thinks he's more than he is and thinks he deserves and thinks holding WWE at ransom is going to get him a fucking title shot. No, it's going to get you released, you fucking prick.
Number 2, like the shit that they are, Enzo and Big Cass.
Absolutely, yeah. Someone from day one I've hated, and my hate just grew for this pair of irritating cunts.
And number 1, the or Brumber one, would it be? Broby one. It's Matt Riddle, who is the most hated and worst wrestler on the WNR podcast.
Yes, well done. You've finally achieved number 1 status that you believe you are. You annoying twat.
Exactly. Okay, so after going through that, and like I said, a lot of hate and venom there for wrestlers, but we got a lot of love as well, and we've seen a lot of great wrestling over 250 episodes, and that's why we decided to come up with the top 50 wrestlers began based on based on quite a few facts, weren't there, Dan?
Absolutely, yeah. It is since the podcast started on May the 4th, 2015.
Yeah, and we're basing it on kind of like success that they've had since then, what the impact they've had on the podcast, kind of obviously their talent as well, and lots of other things, building up.
Every single factor, it could be a personal connection that we might have had with a wrestler or 6.
Yeah, exactly. Not X-Bug. But of course, last time out we came up with 50 superstars to get on the list, but now we've got the complete order. So we have got the best wrestler since the podcast began. But of course, what order is it going to be in? We now start on the top 50 for the WNR250. And at 50, it is a personal connection to me. It's a Scottish supernova, Noah.
He does impress us both. He is a very talented worker, but he's not done enough to warrant a higher place on that. In all opinion.
I mean, yeah, he squeaked in, due to the fact that he's my pick in the CWC, and he has been around for a while, and there is talent, but like you said, there's not kind of enough there. But he got it. There was a couple of guys that maybe could have managed to squeeze into the 50.
Number 49, a bloke that we've both admired from the start. He's kind of had his ups and downs with us, but that is Jack Gallagher.
Yeah, Gentleman Jack. I mean, like I said, we've seen him progress from the CWC as well and move along. And, he was hot a couple of years ago, and since then, he's not really done much, but he's still a guy that's definitely, these guys are going to be on if we were going to create a wrestling roster tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah.
At number 48, we've got the Hardys. Now, people might say you want them higher on the list, but for us, we had the one big pop return at WrestleMania, and then a bit of broken Matt Hardy. From that, I've not really seen much else.
No, we've seen, a Hell in a Cell match against Randy Orton with Jeff Hardy. That was quite an entertaining, albeit gruesome match where he put a screwdriver in his ear and started twisting it around. But, again, it's a tag team that we absolutely love in our top 25 tag teams.
Yeah, right down. Yeah,
but again, it's more of a fan thing for us. So yeah, they haven't done enough to warrant being higher. Number 47. He's someone that we both enjoy. He's an absolutely great worker, but now he's defected to greener pastures, shall we speak?
Yeah.
But that is Neville, or AKA Pac.
Yeah, I mean, his Cruiserweight title run in 205 Live kind of made the brand relevant, and the kind of mistreatment that he got, you can see now in AEW that he really means something. And I think if we do a list in 250 episodes time, including AEW guys, I think Pac will be straight up on that list. Up next, R-Truth, number 46. Now this is someone who got in as well, but you're pushing for this as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it's just to his recent shenanigans. I mean, he has just the YouTube videos of the 24/7 title shenanigans have been so entertaining, and that has kind of, warranted him a place on the list. I mean, what is he now? 12, 13, 14?
So I think he broke Ric Flair's record for 24/7 title reigns.
So up at number 45 is Cedric Alexander. I mean, he's had quite an impact on the podcast, well, mainly on 205 Live or the Cruiserweight Classic, but he's still someone that we've got a bit of time for.
Without doubt, I mean, he showed what he can do, you know, on 205 Live, the kind of character and the kind of matches that he was having. And he's definitely someone that's got a big future ahead of him if used right in WWE. And if not, you know, there's still definitely places and things that he can do. But he's a great talent, and this is someone that we were discussing because 45 along with 44, who's Ali, we were saying two very similar guys who had a lot of success and now on the main roster. And we'll probably say Ali's had a little bit more than Alexander has, maybe looking like a kind of bigger star. But I think the future's definitely there for these guys. And also, he talked about entertainment, and Ali's one of the few people on the list of the cruiserweights who wasn't featured on the CWC and came in afterwards. So, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, a huge amount of talent with Ali and him and Alexander as well. But yeah, I think Ali's kind of just up there above Alexander. But number 43, James, they don't just set the bar, they are the bar. And throughout the podcast that we've had, we've seen Cesaro versus Sheamus in a best of 7. We actually saw one of their matches live.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in that, they was both promised whoever would get a shot at a title. They both impressed a lot during them best of 7 series. So the title they got to go for was the tag team titles as part of a tag team together. They was kind of reluctant partners, but you know, they teamed up anyway, and they became a very successful, very talented tag team.
Cesaro's always been high up on our list of guys, especially at the end of the year, who want to be put in a kind of underused or underrated wrestlers. Cesaro's always up there with that. Sheamus has been WWE champion in our time on the podcast, which seems like a million miles ago. Now he's kind of changed to a tag team wrestler. But I think the bar as a whole deserve to be on that kind of list, because when you look at the talent, you know, there's people, when they come out of kind of where... What was the group with Barrett and Rusev along as well, with Alberto Del Rio? Like the kind of United Nations type of thing. That could have been easily signed up list, but the bar did it different and actually had success on their own. And they're definitely talking about great tag teams as well. The Undisputed Era, or 3 of them, O'Reilly, Fish and Strong are number 42, because another tag team, what they've done everything they need to do in NXT. They have completed NXT now and have been thoroughly entertainment. And I think the Undisputed Era... wasn't a lot of love from you, and I think Kyle O'Reilly kind of helped out there. Handsome
Kyle O'Reilly, if we use his full name. I mean, he is an exceptional talent. It's not just, you know, his in-ring ability, which to a T, but it's his facials, it's his entrance to the ring, you know, playing the guitar. I like someone who's entertaining like that. I've shown you a couple of gifs of Kyle O'Reilly, like when he's been hit, and he thinks he's got it, but no, he just falls down flat on his face. Absolutely fucking brilliant. Wasn't quite sure what to make of Strong coming in when Fish was out injured, but he's kind of joined it and he's kind of made it his own. You know, he has certainly become a deserved part of Undisputed Era.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big loser, wasn't he, on NXT, you know, just coming up short, and he's the North American champion now, and you kind of think to yourself, yeah, he kind of deserves to be, you know, because he has given everything to NXT, and the Undisputed Era definitely deserve to be on the list of top 50.
Number 41, we've kind of put him on there because of his legacy, but, you know, it is Triple H.
Yeah.
He's slowed down a bit, obviously, in the last few years, but he's still been quite a pivotal part in a few memorable matches and moments throughout the podcasting time as well.
Well, this is the thing. No one has had a bigger kind of maybe creative handle on things than Triple H has. When you consider NXT, and he started that, you know, controlling of that and how much we love NXT, you know, just becoming the figurehead of WWE, because we've seen Vince McMahon kind of less and less as well. But even for a wrestling standpoint, you know, when we talk about he was his authority with Seth Rollins when we first started the podcast, that was kind of, you know, WWE under his control. And each WrestleMania as well, you know, against Sting at WrestleMania 31, against Roman Reigns in 32 in the main event, you know. And even against like Ronda Rousey in the tag team match, Triple H has always been heavily featured as well. So that's why he's definitely getting... and number 40, it would be a travesty if he wasn't on the list, because he was the best in the world. And of course, that is Shane O'Mac.
Yes, again, we've seen him in some horrific bumps during the time of the podcast. I mean, he's had some matches against some absolute fucking legends as well.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, we've marked Shane McMahon's return when he came in. It was a massive surprise, been away for so long. And since then, like Hell in a Cell, both two Hell in a Cell moments, one against Kevin Owens and one against The Undertaker as well, are up there with the kind of biggest bumps taken in professional wrestling, especially WWE in that way. But I think that he's kind of given it, even though he sweats a lot, his matches are entertaining even if the character wasn't towards the end.
He puts absolutely everything into what he does as well. And, you can't... people might find him irritating. We've said a few times that he's been in a position which could deservedly go to other wrestlers. But when he's in that position, he does put everything he's got into what he's doing.
Number 39 on the list is my man Buddy Murphy. This is one for the future, without a shadow of a doubt. Plus, he's had some great matches already in WWE. When you look at his SmackDown versus Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns, on NXT versus some great talent, and of course what he did on 205 Live, and especially moving to Raw now. The future's bright for Buddy Murphy, and he's one of the guys that I've kind of got behind and saying this is talent, and there's no doubt in my mind he'll be holding a mid-card title before long, and actually maybe becoming the workhorse of the division. I think with Buddy Murphy, you kind of see that in him as well now, don't you?
Absolutely. He is a talent. I've had my criticisms of him in the past. His selling isn't quite up to scratch, I don't think, when he gets hurt. But again, he had very good success on 205 Live. The main roster, he's SmackDown's biggest secret, but it's a secret that no one's been fucking told about.
No, it's the thing, and let's hope that Raw can be featured a little bit more.
Number 38 is the guitar-playing douche Elias. Again, he's someone that I found very irritating coming in, coming down his guitar, but he's someone that's grown on me, hence why he didn't make it into the bottom 5 list.
Yeah.
He might have got an honourable mention, but, he is an entertainer. And
yeah. I completely agree with you, and I think he's been misused recently, along with the Shane McMahon thing, and I think on Raw, at WrestleMania, and his moments that he's had has been thoroughly entertaining. But it's a character that WWE, there's a lot of interest for, and they've kind of cooled down over time. I think that's a shame. But it's someone that can deliver in ring. Number 37, Baron Corbin, and Corbin's a guy I described when we first saw him as a future WWE champion, and since then he's done everything but, of course, winning the Money in the Bank and unsuccessfully cashing in, former United States champion, King of the Ring winner now. With Corbin, I just don't know if he'll ever get to the main event, but if you talk about heels, most hated people, he's one of the most hated people in wrestling, and you can't deny it.
Absolutely. Again, he's someone with stacks of talent. Again, from the start of the podcast, he was someone that we would definitely have coined one to watch, one for the future, one to be a definite top-tier champion.
Yeah.
But he's kind of just fallen down by the wayside, really. I think, I don't know whether it's because there's other people that have got there before him, or if if he just kind of doesn't deserve it.
Well, I don't know if they've given him, there's definitely a solid mid-card worker, and he gets good reactions, but the thing is, I don't know if they do see him as a main event player, which of course will affect wrestlers in the long haul.
36, again, on our original top 50 list, he was very, very close to the top. I think he was the top, wasn't he?
He was top number 1, yeah.
It is The Undertaker, and again, the reason why he's so low on this list is that he's kind of had 1 or 2, maybe 3 matches a year, and that's kind of it. And he's not really done too much. I mean, on this podcast, did we see the end of the streak?
No, we missed that.
Oh,
we missed it by a year.
We missed the end of the streak by a year.
We saw him against Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31, called Shane McMahon at 32, at 33.
Didn't we see him against Roman Reigns?
He lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 12. That's when we thought he retired.
Yeah.
Of course, he didn't feature at this year's WrestleMania. Fights with we have seen him fight Brock Lesnar on this podcast, but it's not been the same. But I think with the Undertaker's kind of legacy, if it wasn't for the Undertaker, I think like the WNR250, when we did the when we did the Undertaker trilogy, I think that was the kind of first step for the WNR podcast to move on to the next level. And I think the Undertaker is a shadow over WWE as well. And I think even now when he comes back, the kind of, even though he's past it, it's still an attraction, you know. And I think that's why the Undertaker is still quite high considering what he's been doing these past few years, you know. Number 35, it's Rusev. Now, here's a guy who was a massive heel and came out on our very first WrestleMania in a tank. And it was a thing of beauty fighting John Cena. That never really worked. And then since then, it's kind of been a fumbling after fumbling. And then finally, we thought Rusev had found something. But unfortunately, with Rusev Day, they dropped the ball again. There's no doubt he's a great worker. But like we said with Baron Corbin, is there going to be more success for Rusev, or is he just a guy who's going to be United States champion? I think he's one that could definitely be a main event star, as they say.
Absolutely, yeah. With the right gimmick and the right setting, Rusev can definitely be up there. Not too sure on what they're doing with him now. He's kind of like a cuckold bitch at the moment. You know, you've got Bobby Lashley shagging his missus in front of him, and Rusev just kind of letting it happen.
Yeah, but Rusev has shown so many different things. We talked about, you know, Matt Riddle and the worst list. Rusev has shown that he can play so many different type of characters. You know, he could be funny, he could be the face, be the heel. He do different things with that as well, and he just deserves more. But what we've seen of him in the podcast, he definitely deserves to be on the list.
Yes, number 34 is Dolph Ziggler. I mean, he's someone who's been about. He's had a little time off here and there for his comedy shows. He's kind of changed quite a bit as well. I mean, I remember him coming out to various wrestlers' theme music, kind of imitating them, and then he come out to no music for a little while, and then he's kind of found his feet sort of with Drew McIntyre, became tag team champion, and now he was kind of basically used as cannon fodder in the Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury square off.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing with Ziggler. We talk about guys again not being looked at as main event talent. He's the one that can go off and do his own business, and WWE can come back. He's main evented the pay-per-view, you know, with Seth Rollins with the Intercontinental title, teaming up with McIntyre, like I said. But even the pay-per-view match with The Miz, where, again, it seems like Ziggler is kind of like the ultimate loser. Oh, he's going to come out on top in the end, and it never seems to work out. And the match with Miz on SmackDown, when we had like the kind of first draft on the WNR podcast, felt really special. And he's just someone that he knows he's not going to get any further now. We saw it with against Goldberg at SummerSlam. But he's still going to put on a show, you know, there's no doubt. So that's why Ziggler definitely deserves to be kind of on the list.
Number 33 is, well, it's quite apt for him. He's a 3'11" boy. He's, you know, someone who I like. I've got his T-shirt. We've seen him at NXT. We've seen him as an NXT champion. And, you know, me and him, we've got a special bond together.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why. And he is a bloody good talent as well.
Right, and I think someone that deserves a bit of credit for that is Zelina Vega involved, because we saw Andrade debut in NXT as this kind of bland babyface, and it wasn't really working. And, you know, there's quite a bit of hubbub at the time when we were saying, well, maybe this guy's not really worth it. He then managed to change to heel with Zelina Vega and a kind of new Sienna. We've not really seen a wrestler kind of change the character a little bit and then come so strong as we have with CN, of actually getting to a point where they had to put the NXT title on him by beating, you know, Drew McIntyre. And it's a case of like, and that's how it was, you know, and he built up from that. And of course, they've dropped the ball with him since on the main roster, even though he had a great series of matches with Mysterio. But now, hopefully, with the draft, we can look towards saying maybe we can trim like a star, because there's no doubt in his talent. He had a match of the year candidate with Johnny Gargano, you know, and it's probably I think it was our match of the year. So when someone does that, they definitely deserve to be on the list. Up next, 32, one of our favourite tag teams. It's Lorcan and Birch. And again, like most of these guys, you see them and you think, okay, maybe not your standard tag team. Danny Birch was kind of veteran that we knew about, and Lorcan came along. And then there was just something about them, the chemistry as a tag team, the way they always just, again, gave their best as well in each match. And even though they probably weren't most well known, will always work the hardest. And they've put in some great performances over time as well.
They both deserve it. I mean, only Lorcan, he's been doing bits on 205, as has Danny Birch of late as well. Lorcan coming up short 205 Live or Cruiserweight Championship match as well, unfortunately. But, you know, we rarely agree on wrestlers that we both like, and these two are both, I don't know, there's just something about them that they're absolutely lush. They've got a mix of the old school, they've got a mix of new school, you know. They're both absolute crazy fuckers.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, you know, we talk about entertaining tag teams, that is definitely one in Lorcan and Birch.
Number 31, and James, it wouldn't be if this man didn't make the list.
Well, I bet he'd be celebrating with a little bit of bubbly as he gets to 31 on our list, and it's Chris Jericho.
Yeah, you know, he's someone that we've seen reinvent himself on here. He was best friends with Kevin Owens for a while. Absolute cracking kind of thing. I think he was US champion as Owens was champion, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were both champions at the same time. We've seen Jericho feud with Dean Ambrose as well. They had this great crazy cage match. That was kind of one of our favourite memories of the past as well. And it's someone that WWE thought they could rely upon, and then suddenly he said, wait a minute, I want to do what I want to do. And then it was the AEW, and now he's the AEW champion as well.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, he is a groundbreaker. He is someone that maybe slightly over the hill, but AEW are treating him like he is the biggest thing going.
Yeah, without a doubt. This might surprise some, and maybe they should be higher up on the list, but it's due in part to a couple of things. It's Mustache Mountain. And of course, there's no doubt in Tyler Bate is one of the most talented wrestlers of his generation. What he did against Walter at NXT TakeOver Cardiff is something really, really special. And we've talked about his match against our match of the year against Pete Dunne as well back in 2017. But with Trent Seven, the more husky of the two, he's kind of not had the best win-loss record either. And kind of only success, they won the NXT but lost them soon after, and haven't actually been NXT UK Tag Team Champions yet. Of course, Tyler Bate, the first ever NXT UK champion, but a lot of people forget that because of Dunn's title reign. You know?
Absolutely, yes. And you know, going on a bit more about Trent Seven, he was my pick for the inaugural UK Title Championship tournament. You know, he came up a bit short, but he's someone that you know, he's got that factor about him that I enjoy.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think if we do in the 250 episodes time, and how many episodes time, I think Mustache Mountain might be separated, because I think Tyler Bate is destined for greatness. I can't see it any other way. You know, I don't know how they're going to drop ball. Whether it's in WWE or anywhere else, Tyler Bate is going to be a huge star in the future. And so might Trent Seven. He might do something to change his character. But we'll talk about, of course, the then and the now. And talk about great tag teams. One of our favourite tag teams, multiple tag teams of the year awards. The Revival.
Yes, at number 25, Dash and Dawson. Number 29, Dash and Dawson. I mean, they're a very entertaining tag team. Again, another old school style tag team. They cut off the ring. They do exactly what we expect from a tag team. Again, there's someone who we kind of stood in a similar stead to what the Vaudevillians were like for us as well at the start of the podcast. But you know, with the Revival, attaining heaps of talent. Very close to leaving WWE at one point, but, you know, WWE must have seen the errors of their ways, immediately, you know, done everything they could to re-sign them and keep them on their books, which is a very smart move because, you know, no doubt in my mind, anywhere else they go, there'd be tag team champions and the division would be built around them.
Right, I mean, their matches with American Alpha and NXT are stuff that may be getting forgotten about now. And, of course, with like DIY and it just shows kind of how good they were, and the only tag team to be Triple Crown champions to hold the Raw, SmackDown, and of course NXT tag team titles as well. And up next, it's 28 is Sami Zayn, and has a guy maybe been treated so poorly? We talk about talent being treated poorly. This guy was the face and star of NXT, and especially when we were just watching it, the feud with Kevin Owens had just happened where he had buried him. And Zayn was just kind of like the ultimate underdog and just a fantastic worker. And he's been associated with Owens Has that affected him, you reckon? Do you think they should have kept separate over time?
I think they should have kept separate, but, they've kind of together and apart, and well, currently Sami Zayn's a heel, Kevin Owens is a kind of a face.
Yeah.
Will they come together in the future? I've no doubt about it, that they're going to have another match. But I think he deserves a lot more than he's been given. He is a very entertaining wrestler. He's a very good, talented wrestler as well. And being Nakamura's mouthpiece, I don't think that is quite the right move for him.
No, I mean, especially when you consider the kind of match of the candidate that both men had when Nakamura had made his debut against Zayn, and the talent that he's got. There's no doubt he's been wasted, but at least he's still being featured kind of on the roster. At 27 down?
Number 27, a man who, he holds a huge place in my heart, and it's not only for what he's been doing as of late. It's, we go back 20 years, we watched WWE versus WCW, and someone that you have you hold in high regard now as well, from being someone who was not as familiar with him as I was, but, you kind of see what my big attraction with Goldberg has been about, and he's come back, he destroyed Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship, he destroyed Brock Lesnar, he got destroyed by Brock Lesnar, he had a fuck-up match against The Undertaker, we kind of swept that under the carpet because he kind of revered himself against Dolph Ziggler, and, he is just an all-round legend, a man who definitely deserves his place in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, without a doubt, and like you said, with Goldberg as well, one of my biggest disappointments with WrestleMania 20 in the main event match one of the main event matches against Brock Lesnar, and they managed to redeem themselves, at WrestleMania during the podcast as well, which why basically he's on the list. Number 26, he had to be on the list. It's the glorious one. It's Bobby Roode. This man made NXT the place to be, and the feuds with Nakamura and McIntyre was something else. And that's the reason why Bobby Roode is going to be on this list, And you have to admit as well, the match in NXT, yes, on the main roster, has he really worked? He was United States champion, of course, tag team champions with Dolph Ziggler. But I think that's why Bobby Roode deserves to be 26. All right, so we'll stop there for a second. We're halfway through the list. We've got 25 to 1 still to come. But let's not forget, next episode, it is our Halloween special, 5th annual Halloween special, that we're going to bring all the scares. And of course, we'll bring Halloween Havoc 1999 as well. Alright now, so like I said, we're halfway through, so let's run back from 50 up until we get to number 25.
So number 50, we've got the Scottish Supernova, Noam Dar.
49, Gentleman Jack Haga.
48, we've got the Pissed Up Hardys.
47 is Neville.
Or Pac. 46, the most entertaining man at the moment, R-Truth.
45, Cedric Alexander.
And 44, Ali.
43, they just don't set the bar, they are the bar.
42, it's the Undisputed Era, but not all of them. It's O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong.
At 41, it's the game, Cheech.
At 40, he's the best in the world, Shane O'Mac.
39, my man, Buddy Murphy.
38, he's a guitar-playing douche, but he's still on the list anyway. It's Eliath.
37, bow down to your king, Baron Corbin.
36, the dead man has risen down the list, The Undertaker.
35, Rusev Massacre. Rusev.
34, it is Dolph Ziggler.
33 is Andrade Cien Almas.
32, 1 and 2, Lorcan and Birch.
31 is Chris Jericho. And I didn't do a list joke, I know.
30, the man with the best mustaches in the business, it is Mustache Mountain.
Number 29, The Revival.
Number 28, Sami Zayn.
27, it's Goldberg.
26, James's man, Robert Bobby Roode.
And at 25 now, a guy who might have featured even heavily either up or down, considering I would never thought there'd be a day and age where WWE didn't feature John Cena. And that is something that in the podcast that we've had to deal with. He was the face that ran the place, and of course we had done lots of things. Talk about facing Rusev at WrestleMania or Bray Wyatt. It wasn't in our time, but that was just after. And of course with John Cena since then. But he's put in loads of great performances. Dan, what do you think about John Cena being 25?
Yeah, John Cena, I think the middle of the list is good for him. He's kind of slowed down a bit. He's turned his career to acting. I think he's now in the Fast and Furious franchise. He's certainly been an entertaining character. I think we've seen, a reboot of John Cena when he came back as a Thugonomics gimmick for, was it SmackDown or...
I think it's WrestleMania with Elias, wasn't it?
WrestleMania? Yeah, well, it was somewhere around then. But, he's always been a constant. I mean, he had some great matches against AJ Styles, a Match of the Year candidate, I believe.
Well, you're definitely your Match of the Year. And a guy who definitely deserves to be there. Another guy ahead of him is Adam Cole, baby! 24!
Absolutely, yes. He made our most annoying list. And he's also made our top 25 as well.
Wow, that is an incredible achievement. No man has done it. Why is Adam Cole 24?
Well, as much as he is an irritating twat, he has got a lot of talent. And you take away like the comparisons to Shawn Michaels, he has had some very fucking good matches on NXT. And, with NXT, they get given the good amount of time. The NXT pay-per-views are absolutely out of this fucking world. And he's had some matches, some great matches against some great competitors. So, it would be stupid to leave him off this list.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I think 24 is good. 23 is a guy who is on there. He's only been in, since we're doing WNR podcast, it's been a short space of time. But the impact that he's had in that time puts him on this list and quite high up in it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. He is definitely a game changer, and it is Volta. And it is in all capital letters. I mean, just hearing his theme sends a shiver down your spine. I mean, it's absolute classic of a theme tune, and his in-ring ability is great. He's kind of the man responsible for ending Pete Dunne's absolutely amazing UK title run as well.
I would say that Pete Dunne thing, we look back as well, that's kind of our Undertaker streak. That's kind of the thing that happened that we maybe thought. Another honourable mention for that as well, even though we're not kind of talking about it, obviously Oscar's undefeated streak. That is something that happened, but I feel with Pete Dunne, that kind of just told a story that was just unbelievable and anything else, and I think that's one of the tales we follow through on the podcast as well. And the kind of guy to stop it all, number 23, Volta. And who was at 22, Dan?
Number 22 is one of my men, and it is Ali B. He is absolutely amazed us during his debut. I mean, he's a man who sits where he wants. He does. I'm not lying. He sits where the fuck he wants. He had a great match against Velveteen Dream, and that is the moment where Velveteen Dream earned Alistair Black's respect as well. And he said his name. Even though that Velveteen, he's not even on this list.
Velveteen Dream, he didn't get on the list.
Oh shit!
I told you there might be guys we might forget.
I said there's someone we've forgotten.
Velveteen Dream, but there's a guy again. If we talk about the kind of dream involved, he's had experience, but has he done enough for this past year since those moments to kind of validate is on the scene? Of course, we'll do as the podcast continues, we'll do revised list as well. I'm sure there's other ones. I mean, of course, if you hear anybody, the people listening, go, oh, wait a minute, what about this person? Of course, they've got to be in wrestling since the start of the podcast. Of course, like I said, May 4th, 2015. And that's why number 21 gets on the list as well, because obviously he's not in WWE anymore.
Yes, well, Moxley, or Dean Ambrose as he was known in WWE, he was my favourite member of the Shield. He's, they kind of dropped the ball with him towards his end of his run, but I think we've seen him as champion.
Yep.
We've seen him, he won Money in the Bank, he cashed it in the night. I think it was like all three Shield members were the night. He was part of the Shield, and we absolutely adored it. And the moment where all three of them fisted back again in the middle of their big breakups, a 3-man fisting session in the ring.
You've got to love that, ain't you?
It's an absolute great moment, and he's someone that WWE should have done better by.
Yeah.
I mean, if he'd have been given the push that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins had, God knows only where he might have been by now.
Without a doubt, and I mean that's definitely why. So there's someone so entertaining, of course, one of Dan's favourite wrestlers. But we're going to get into the top 20 now of the wrestlers in the podcast. Number 20, and it's Braun Strowman. Get these hands. He's the guy who, when we first saw him as a giant in the Wyatt family, We just thought he's another generic big guy, maybe someone like Lars Sullivan or someone like that. But he's proved himself as to be this generation's Big Show, and you can take that as a compliment or an insult how he wants it. But I think he'll always have a job, and I think he's going to get his biggest moment coming up at Crown Jewel, as we're recording this, against Tyson Fury.
Well, start the Big Show. He is going against a professional boxer at a massive pay-per-view. But yeah, Braun Strowman, I think he's someone that, again, you could definitely see them putting a title on some point in the not too distant future. He's a great worker. He's certainly got the fans. Get these hands, and his charge around the ring is absolutely fucking brilliant. This thing with Tyson Fury is only going to elevate him more, I believe. And yeah, most he deserves to be on the list. Even though he's someone that he's been featured heavily in the WWE, but he's not quite done enough. He's won the tag team champions with a fucking young lad, Nicholas. Very memorable moment for the WNR podcast.
Yeah, and it's like kind of never reached full potential. He's kind of, and we'll see if it happens or not with him. Guy again unsuccessful cashing in Money in the Bank. But number 19 on the list of the team that's really used anymore, but I still had such an impact with a feud with a New Day, and kind of probably been, if we look at best tag teams that we've seen, the Revival and everything like that, but the Usos are definitely up, maybe top 2.
Yeah, they've had some amazing matches since we started the podcast. I mean, we've seen them going from their face painted, like cheery, over the top, facey guys to their more serious Uso penitentiary to kind of they're in between it now. Well, they were until they stopped.
They were cool, weren't they? Do you know
what
I mean? That's that thing about them. And I think that's what we've seen with the Usos as well. They just keep delivering as a tag team. Jimmy J, they might have personal issues or whatever that is, but together they can be an awesome team and definitely deserve to be in the top 20.
At number 18, he is... we need someone special to do his introduction, I believe. We need Paul Heyman to snatch the mic out of our hands.
My name is Paul Heyman, and at number 18 is my client, Brock Lesnar.
I mean, you don't do it any justice. I'll give it that. But yeah, it is at number 18, Brock Lesnar. I mean, he's been someone that's pissed us off quite a bit throughout. He's a part-timer, but we've seen him have some fucking great matches as of late. If he's going to small AJ Styles and so on and so forth, he does have great fucking matches.
Yeah, without a doubt, and like I said, we have seen it, and that is the problem. Is that that same wrestler is there? It's just that he can't be bothered half the time. The answer is not Cain Velasquez. It would be give Kofi Kingston a proper rematch and make it look competitive as well. That would be a beautiful moment. But we can't deny that WWE, their biggest star in these past 5 years since we've been doing podcasts as well, has been Brock Lesnar. He's been used as the guy, and he comes and gets a champ. When you think, Roman Reigns feud, he loses Universal Championship. He won't get that back soon. He's champion again. He'll lose it to Rollins. He won't be champion again. He's WWE. He's always positioned as such. And I think that's why Lesnar deserves to be high up. Even though it's a shame, because if he really cared and really wanted to, then he could be number 1 on this list. And that therein lies a problem with him.
Yeah, he's not someone that's content around being the mid-card as well. You would never see him going for the US Championship. You'd never see him teaming up with someone to go for a tag team title in the Continental Championship. He's not. He is someone that only goes for the top prize in the game.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you with that. Up next is number 17. Bring on the trumpets, and it's Samoa Joe.
Ba-dum, bum, bum. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Yeah, he is a man who's pivotal to the NXT on the WNR podcast. I mean, he's someone that we started Joe Watch for. It was back in the day because Jared, who is no longer with us, rest in peace.
Big man.
He's not dead, by the way.
No, he works at home bar.
He's getting married, so might as well be dead.
Yeah.
Bless him. But no, he is someone that Jared absolutely admired, and if he was here, he would have had him at number 1, and there would have been no other alternative. His list would have been Samoa Joe. That is it.
Yeah.
But enough about Jared, who's a tit and no longer with us. It is about Samoa Joe, and again, he's this high because of what he done in NXT.
Yeah.
His main roster run-ins haven't been the greatest. He has been plagued by a few injuries. unfortunately. He has had a few good matches, a few good moments, but, you know, nothing compares to what he was like when he was on NXT.
Yeah, well, that Joe was a killer, as we've seen in other places like, you know, Impact or TNA as it was. Can make Joe a huge successful star. Is he been broken down now due to independence? I still think he's got a run in him and a couple of good years. And I think, you know, over on Raw with the guys he can mix it up with, I think there's potential. I don't think he looks like WWE champion, but a lot of guys have become that who never looked like it. And Joe's definitely a guy, like I said, we've been watching since the very, very beginning. Another guy I've been watching since the very, very beginning at number 16 has been Drew McIntyre. I used to watch WWE Superstars to see McIntyre jobbing out to Justin Gabriel and people like that. And then he went away, and of course that's when we saw him in the independent scene, it was a big success. And then come back to NXT, and at that time in NXT, where, like you said, one of my favourite moments, Bobby Roode and Nakamura, and I thought, how can they possibly top that? And then they have McIntyre coming in, challenging Roode, beating him for the title, and you're thinking that is kind of incredible how it happens like that. On the main roster, I don't know why they've not gone with him yet. They've given him Ziggler and it worked well. Anything he's done, they've given him Shane McMahon, and it's kind of just slowed it down. And there's, you know, even the talk of future WWE champion, but until he is, it's always going to be a failure for Drew McIntyre, and that is a shame. And that's why he's only 16, because when you look what he can do in the ring, especially in NXT, it kind of is incredible stuff, and he's toned it down. It's been toned down for him on the main roster, and there's no doubt if he was to leave WWE, he would be main event anywhere, you know?
Absolutely, yes. And a man that the WNR voted as better than Drew McIntyre, and that is the tight, the ripped, the Royal Rumble winning WWE Heavyweight Champion, former WWE Heavyweight Champion, Randy Orton. I mean, what can I say about Orton? I mean, he is, since the inception of this podcast, he has been my man, you know, my guy. He has been someone who, no matter what kind of situation he's in, I always still, you know, I'd never fall out of love with Randy Orton. I'm going to say, James, I love Randy Orton.
You have, and you always will, even though you don't normally go for him. But I think that's been one of the comedy things. Talking about our guys, you know, McIntyre, you know, you always seem to go for or go against him in predictions. It's always a laugh anyway. And another guy who would maybe be on your like most hated list, but now I think he's just, it's a shame what's happened to The Miz as well. That's what the worst thing is, looking at this 50 list and going, who's really become like proper stars? The Miz is the guy with a great babyface fun at the start of the year, and then again with the Shane McMahon thing, completely slowed down. He's great as a heel, and he's shown he's good as a face, and he's someone that you dislike, but you can't deny there's something about him, you know? Like,
there's something entertaining about him. Yeah, he may be an irritating prick, but, you know, for what he does it well.
yeah.
And, you know, The Miz is someone who I don't know if he's ever going to be able to reach that plateau again that he was at, you know, when he was WWE champion. I don't think he's going to be a Royal Rumble winner. You know, he's not going to be that, but he's going to be someone that's going to be featured, and he is always going to be the top of the mid-card.
I completely agree with that, you know, and I think that's what we've seen with The Miz. And it's, you know, it's just a shame when you look at this list and you go, are WWE actually going to use any of these guys? At number 13, it's unlucky for some. Well, it should be for the Blackheart, really, shouldn't it, you know?
Absolutely, yes. It's Tommaso Ciampa, and we've seen him, fucking hell, we've seen him as part of DIY. We've seen him inflicting the most amount of punishment on his former tag team partner that actually deserved. Yeah. I mean, they lost in a ladder match to Authors of Pain. If being in a ladder match against the Authors of Pain ain't bad enough, his then former partner turned on him and, you know, just beat the living tar out of him. But, you know, that wasn't it for Tommaso Ciampa. He kind of redesigned himself, and he had his huge beard. You know, we've seen him as the Puppet Master. We've seen him as NXT champ with Goldie. He has
been one of the best heels I've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah. And I've got to say, you know, we're looking back as well. It's his best story told that we've seen, isn't it? You know,
absolutely. If there was a list, which we might have to do,
like top stuff
of the best storylines we've seen, Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano is definitely going to be up there, number one, without a doubt.
It just had even moments that they copied in their first in the CWC, you know, with the arm around the shoulder. to go into doing it later on in matches, and that's how you to tell a story, and that is what you're doing. And so obviously without Ciampa, you have to kind of connect the two, and that's why number 12 is Johnny Gargano, because like I say, Johnny Gargano is a guy who was told you're never going to make it at a certain level, and he's coming in NXT, and he is. You talk about like Ali or Alexander the Heart and Soul 205 Live, like Gargano is 205 Live. He was Sami Zayn was. He's like Finn Balor. Do you know what I mean? He's the man in NXT.
Absolutely, yeah. He's not the heart, the soul. He's the embodiment. He's the spirit of NXT. He is someone that's been in NXT since we've started watching it. And when and if he leaves NXT, it is going to be a sad day for the WNR podcast, because we know that what he's done on NXT, he's never going to be able to achieve anything near that on the main roster. And, we talk about like what Ciampa's done, Johnny Gargano. So, not only has he achieved Johnny NXT, Johnny Wrestling, but he achieved Goldie, and he is in no way, shape or form ready to leave NXT anytime soon.
No, like you said, Triple Crown champion as well, tag team champions, of course, DIY, North American champion, and now, of course, and then NXT champion as well. And the feud with Adam Cole, the matches that they've been having, it has been, Johnny Gargano. Triple H compared him to like a Shawn Michaels, with a guy that just goes out there and just delivers constantly, and that's what Gargano does in any situation. But I mean, those two guys, 13 and 12, and I'm sure, like I said, if it was just based on NXT stuff, they would be higher up the list, and we'll see what happens with them. But number 11, it's a New Day. Yes, it is.
Yes, the New Day, I think they've been boosted up our list, not just because of their tag team accomplishments, which have been amazing, but because of their standout performer as well, Kofi Kingston, finally, after 11 years, achieving what he's wanted to achieve, and that is the WWE Championship. Now, a lot of people thought that day would never, ever come, but it has, and, he embraced it. It was such a feel-good moment as well for Kofi to be WWE Champion. It's unbelievable as well, and it's, it is just a new day for New Day.
Well, but the thing is, Kofi may be higher up on the list, but we put New Day together because when they first started as kind of faces, it never worked. They changed it, became heels, and then got super over. And I don't think anybody would have thought, we talk about the Shield, that even a New Day would be together to this day, and having the success that they've had, consistently putting these matches and coming. We talk about Kofi, even Big E, just so entertaining as well. So there's no doubt they miss out on the top 10, but down the top 10 starts.
Yes, well, number 10, obviously. That's how any top 10 would start, but it is a bloke who we never thought would get this far in WWE, let alone thrive in the business. We met him on the Independents. One of our friends who was there watching it with us as well, who has no affiliation with wrestling whatsoever, had, quite a nice conversation with him about nothing to do with wrestling. We've met him. I've got a great photo with him, and that is Ricochet.
Yeah, Ricochet in the top 10. But why so high, Dan? Why is he in the 10 when you think about what he's achieved since being in WWE?
Well, he is an outstanding performer. He has had great matches in WWE. He's only achieved the North American Championship, and
he held it when he beat Joe, didn't he? And
yeah,
then soon lost it to AJ.
And the US Championship, he hasn't achieved a lot, but it is all about personal things with Ricochet as well. As soon as we heard he was announced in NXT, we both went batshit crazy, and it's something that he has thoroughly deserved since we've watched him and since we've heard of him.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, number 9 is a guy who's had a most up and down career, especially during the podcast, coming in as the Wyatt family and being so dominant as they were. And then, thought maybe turn the corner, and then Randy Orton ruined his career for a time, robbing him on the WWE Championship, and then finally come back as Fiend. But again, are WWE going to drop the ball? Bray Wyatt at 9, why is he in this position, Dan?
I think, it's going on his potential as well as what he has achieved, because he has achieved not as much as, a few other members on the list have, but, he's still there, he's still been about the spotlight, he is still someone that we think, if they actually pulled the trigger on him properly, he could be an absolute fucking star.
I completely agree with you there. like we said with the Fiend, something so special. So hopefully, you know, in the future as well, moving further up the list. At number 8, as a guy that's had a huge impact, became the first ever Universal Champion, but since maybe injuries or something like this, it's just not really worked out. Finn Balor, though, gets to number 8.
Yeah, again, you know, he is someone that we've absolutely loved since NXT. Well, I certainly have anyway. James has been a bit hit or miss with him. The demon character that he brings to wrestling is still something that's, I think, held in quite high stead as well. But you know, he is someone that his
entrance, his whole general persona, I think, is a great characterism.
Yeah, and like I say, he's gone back to NXT now, so we'll see if that's the kind of, you know, going to be a continuous thing for him. Can he be a world champion again? I'm sure a lot of people see it that way, but my only thing is that I see him, he can be a great mid-card champion. There's nothing wrong with that either. But there's a lot of guys here, you would say, on NXT, you know, the reason and the kind of longevity. I mean, Balor was the face of NXT for so long, much like the guy that basically came along and replaced him from that. And number 7 is Shinsuke fucking Nakamura, you know?
Absolutely. Again, you know, a man whose entrance has just astounded us. I think they've kind of dropped the ball with it a bit of late, but, you know, having that Asian rapping going through it, I don't think that kind of... But, you know, that was something that happened when he turned heel. The whole fans chant along with it. And again, you know, this is going based 80% believed in NXT. Yeah. I mean, you know, we still pop out at his finishing move, King Shasha! And, you know, he's just a great character. Again, someone who, if they actually went with it, he could be someone who is representing the company as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, winning the Royal Rumble and then not having him win the match at WrestleMania is just a huge mistake. And so the United States champion has been Intercontinental champion now as well, there's no doubt. But I think Nakamura, and maybe with Sami Zayn by his side, could be a little bit, you know, better used in the future. But there's no doubt Nakamura is just a great star. You know, it doesn't matter where he's from, and I think that's maybe held him back a little bit as well. But Nakamura definitely deserves to be 7. It's weird how many NXT people as well, you know, especially dot around this kind of way.
NXT has made up our top 10. Spoiler alert. No, it's made up our top 9. 9 out of our top 10.
So we've seen, you know, there's a lot of people here on the list. We talk about Nakamura. Next up,
it is Kevin Owens. Again, someone who we follow through NXT. Had a great NXT career. I mean, cannonball!
Yeah. I mean, and to be able to come on the main roster straight at John Cena, you know, and deliver quality performances, actually get a victory as well, showed what Owens was all about. A guy who would never maybe look like a WWE superstar, you know, and all these kind of things has gone wrong. And yet he's constantly brought out the best in every storyline that he's finally been given. You know, even with Sami Zayn, or even the stuff with Shane McMahon, he's tried his hardest. You know, and it's been WWE's kind of way of treating him, even with Chris Jericho as well, and all that kind of, you know, the WrestleMania showdown that should have been for the Universal title. But again, and it's a shame. But Owens is just constant, and I think he's a great in-ring worker as well. You know, I think he's so underrated in that regard.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, there's again a lot of these top 10. If WWE actually pulled the trigger on them, then you know they could be something absolutely fucking special, and it could be someone that could run the company.
Yeah, I think without doubt.
At number 5, it is the leader of the Yes movement, or the No movement, depending on where you're watching, or he is the planet's champion, or he is the vegan lentil sniffing machine, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, I think Daniel Bryan, you know, we dealt with his retirement here in the podcast, and it was kind of one of those things that, you know, it was upsetting to see a talent who had done WrestleMania, and even our first WrestleMania is winning the Intercontinental title in a ladder match, and you think to yourself, right, here we go, then retiring, and be able to come back, and not only come back, but still look as good as he ever has done. And don't get me wrong, he might not have achieved, I mean, he's WWE champion, of course, he might not have, you know, done a whole lot since kind of returning from injury, but he just looks, anything he's given, again, a lot like Kevin Owens, a lot like most of these guys, they make the best out of a bad situation. And I think that's definitely Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely, yeah, you know, he is someone who we both definitely hold in high regard. I mean, you know, he was in the greatest Royal Rumble. I think he came in 1 and he was in it till like about 47.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a Royal Rumble record, and that is not long after coming back from his retirement.
And the chest, you know, the marks on his chest probably still there as well. There's no doubt Bryan is a fantastic in-ring performer, like the next man, number 4. And I've got to say, I will admit now, this was my original number 1 for my list, because there's no other wrestler that I've watched that I've enjoyed more over a period of time since I saw him debut. And this is a guy that I wasn't expecting to kind of become a huge fan, do you know what I mean, of, and yet the performance he's put in, the kind of character work and what he can do, the bruiserweight Pete Dunne at number 4 is just, everything about him is fantastic.
Whenever he puts in a shift in a wrestling ring, he puts in a shift. You know, you can't say that you've ever seen a bad Pete Dunne. I mean, you know, everything he does, he does it with such finesse, such just skill. I would say, in the top 10, he is probably the best technical wrestler out of every single one of them. You know, in my opinion. You know, again, if and when he moves up to the main roster, he is going to be... If he isn't champion within a year of moving up, they're doing something very, very wrong.
I think they've done something wrong at the moment, the way they're mishandling him after his title loss to Walter. But that title reign and what he did, what he did and what Tyler Bate done is basically start a new promotion. NXT UK wouldn't have come about if these guys hadn't delivered in the spots that they were given. And Dunn took that on his shoulders. He was happy with the responsibility and took it seriously, showing what British wrestling can do. And it's thanks to him that it's held in such high regard now. Of course, the generations beforehand, and the workers that are out there that maybe not getting the credit that someone like Pete Dunne is. But I mean, for Pete Dunne, what he's done for British wrestling, legitimise it and kind of make it seem, the British strong style and everything that goes along with it. It's just, without the podcast, I don't think I would have seen Pete Dunne. And I think that's what, when you think about being on the network or just being on NXT or whatever it is, I don't think that it's someone that you would have seen. So I think with Dunne, definitely deserves to be 4. And like I said, if treated correctly, there's no doubt he can become, even before McIntyre, the very first, British WWE champion.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no amount of superlatives you could throw at Pete Dunne. But number 3, a guy who's kind of taken over the mantle as the number 1 in WWE at the moment. He's probably one of the most protected, and that is Seth Rollins. I mean, we're kind of taking out his performance in his last... Well, not his performance, but what WWE done in his last pay-per-view match in Hell in a Cell. That was... We're just going to sweep that under the carpet. But he is... he's someone who's kind of overtaken Roman Reigns as the top dog in the Shield, or formerly of the Shield. He's, multiple-time WWE champion. He's Raw. We've seen him just doing basically everything in the WWE.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I said earlier, Brock Lesnar is like the biggest star in WWE, and I think that. But I think when you look at, especially our next, 2 picks, well, Seth Rollins, he's been featured so heavily. Like when we start with Euphoria, he was the heel champion. He's gone through that, holding the title. Now he's doing his babyface run that we've seen, the Royal Rumble winner. Like every opportunity Rollins, he's been given, and there's no doubt he can deliver. Is he as good as he says he is? I don't know. Seth Rollins can go, but I think there's other people on this list. I think maybe even Pete Dunne that on a day-to-day basis, week day in day out, might have it. But there's no doubt Seth Rollins though is a fantastic worker. But this is what you see now. I think anybody who's kind of positioned as the number 1 guy is going to start getting negative reaction, which we said before, And speaking of number 3, and then moving on to the kind of number 4, it's a guy that fits the description for these past 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen him go through, kind of a very personal time in WWE, of more recent, but going into what we've seen of him, we've seen him kind of take everything he's been given, and he's probably not been asked to be the top guy in WWE, but Vince McMahon's like, you're big for doing it, and so he's had to kind of run with it. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed. Well, he had leukemia, but his leukemia was back, and then you kind of never forget the goosebumpy feeling when when he kind of made that announcement, and then when he came back, smiles, I'm in remission, that was kind of like a feel-good moment in WWE, not just as a character, but as, a person. You wouldn't wish that on anyone. And so, Roman Reigns, he's been dealt a bit of a shit hand in WWE, not in performance-wise, but, he's been booed quite a lot. He's not been revered as high said as he should be, but Reigns, I think he's a great character. I think one of the very early episodes we saw chronicles on Roman Reigns, and it kind of put you into perspective of, you know, what he can do, what he is as a man, and, you know, what does bringable.
I mean, there's no doubt, you know, people could argue he's put in that position because of, you know, family heritage or connections like this, but he had to work for it, and he became a great worker from it as well. And he's probably the guy that's had the most personal relationship with the audience since maybe like a John Cena or something like that. I know with Daniel Bryan, but Reigns just seems so open about it, and like he's the guy that's taken on the mantle as being kind of like the next, you know, guy who's just representing WWE through and through. He's not going to say anything bad about him, but he's got a smile on his face, and he'll just do anything that he can. I think that's what makes him kind of number 2 on the list when you compare him to Rollins, because I think Reigns, and a lot of people are going to hate, I think stronger, as in a guy I would rather have over Seth Rollins as well. You know, if we were going to talk about what they can bring, I think Reigns is a great worker. But that is nearly it now, so we've just got one person left.
Would you say that one person left is a nominal one?
Oh, I might have to say, Dan, who is number 1 on the list?
AJ Styles!
AJ Styles is number 1. Why is he number 1 on the top 50 list?
I think he has made the biggest impact since coming into WWE. I mean, you know, I remember him. Roman Reigns was in the ring. He was defending his title in the first ever all kind of Royal Rumble title match. Well, the second ever one, actually. And I think come out at number 3. And unfortunate camera angles, it was kind of panned on Roman Reigns' face as opposed to I am phenomenal flashing up on the LED board. And Roman Reigns, you can see kind of confused look on his face, like, who the fuck's this? And then AJ Styles come out and, you know, he interacted with every single person that came out after him in that Royal Rumble. And it was just like fucking out. You know, maybe a bit later on in his career for my liking, but, you know, still someone that we've got to see, we've got to experience, and, you know, just the matchups he's had since then.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing with AJ Styles, that we always got told he was a great wrestler. We always got told he was, you know, fantastic, phenomenal, whatever it is. But he was never in WWE for us to see at the time. And then he debuted, like I said, 2016, January. So we just started the podcast there as well in our first year. AJ's debut. And then to see him basically carry SmackDown on his back, be WWE champion twice, win it in England, for fuck's sake, you know. And every time. And don't get me wrong, AJ might not have had, like, some of his matches in his feuds might have been a little bit disappointed, but it's only because you hold AJ Styles up to the highest level. Not many, you know, his average or good match is someone's fantastic match in some ways, you know, with AJ Styles.
Absolutely, yeah, and, you know, it's just the amount he's achieved since coming up here is nothing short of amazing as well. You know, he's always been there or thereabouts. So, you know, he's had a couple of blips, so to speak. You know, his feud against Samoa Joe was kind of like a TNA reboot of some sorts, but it didn't quite live up to what they achieved in TNA.
Yeah. And I think you see with AJ Styles, like I said, people wish he was 10 years younger because of how good he is, and I think he is the best, you know, kind of wrestler we've seen since the podcast began, and I think we've got to be happy with that list. Dan, are you happy with the top 50?
I am absolutely happy, yeah. I mean, it was a hard choice. There was a bit of a mass debate going on between us, but I think this is one of the easiest debates we've had to have. You know, I know there was a few compromises and a few little arguments here and there, but I think, you know, it was a relative easy list,
yeah,
to kind of put together.
I'm happy with it. But let's run through it one more time then. So the WNR's top 50 list. At number 50, Noam Dar.
At number 49, Gentleman Jack Gallagher.
48, The Hardys.
47, Neville.
46, R-Truth.
45, Cedric Alexander.
Number 44, Ali.
Number 43, The Bar.
42, The Undisputed Era, which is O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong.
Number 41, Triple H.
Number 40, Shane O'Mac.
Number 39, Buddy Murray.
Yeah, man. Number 38, Elias.
Number 37, King Corbin.
36 is The Undertaker.
35 is Rusev Day.
34 is Dolph Ziggler.
33 is my 311 boy, Andrade Cien Almas.
32, the best tag team ever, Lorcan and Danny Burch.
31, he made the list, Chris Jericho.
Number 30, Mustache Mountain.
Number 29, The Revival.
28, Sami Zayn.
27, Bill Goldberg.
26, the glorious Bobby Roode.
25, you can see him on this list, it's John Cena.
24, Adam Cole, baby.
23, Volta.
22, your guy and my guy, Ali B.
21, Moxley, or Ambrose as he was then.
And in the top 20, Braun Strowman.
Number 19, the Usos.
18, Brock Lesnar.
17, sound the trumpets, it's Samoa Joe.
Number 16, the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre.
Number 15, someone who deserves to be higher than the Scottish psychopath, it's Randy Orton.
14, someone higher than Randy Orton, it's The Miz.
Number 13, it's the Blackheart, Tommaso Ciampa.
Number 12, Johnny Gargano.
Number 11, it's a New Day, yes it is.
At number 10, it's Ricochet.
At number 9, it's Bray Wyatt, or The Fiend.
At number 8, the overrated Finn Balor.
Number 7, it's Shinsuke fucking Nakamura.
At number 6, Kevin Owens.
Number 5, yes, Daniel Bryan.
At number 4, it's Pete Dunne.
Number 3, burn it down, Seth Rollins.
At number 2, it is Roman Reigns, the big dog.
And of course, at number 1, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
So that is it. So that is it for the WNR250. Thanks for listening to us over 2 podcasts, as it was. Our next episode will be our Halloween special.
And of course, if you disagree with our list, you can write down your top 50 list, fold it up, and shove it up your ass. No, only joking.
Yes, no, send us an email, don't forget. But if they want to contact us, Dan, and send us emails, tell us about the list, or if they're looking forward to any of it, then you can contact us on Twitter at WWE Network Review or
at Vince McDan WWE
_ Rollins. Across all the Google platforms, the WNR podcast at gmail.com. Go onto Instagram even, the WNR podcast there as well. Give us a follow. We're on Facebook.
Yes, Facebook. You can come and find our page with a WWE Network Review podcast. That's going to change soon. Or you can come and find me and add me as a friend. I am Vince McDan.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the WNR podcast. We've got the latest clips on there. Podcasts got the same time on YouTube. There are places like SoundCloud,
We're
on Spreaker Radio, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. But that is it. Like I say, next time out is our Halloween special. But till then, I have been James Rollins, and as always, I was joined by
Dan White.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Bye.